What is up, you guys? It's Isabel Brown, TPUSA contributor, sitting next to MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis. How are you on this beautiful Tuesday?
I am fan-daggone-tastic.
You had a good weekend. You didn't watch the Super Bowl.
Did not.
Nope.
Nope.
I did. It was actually a great game, but the commercials were garbage town, so that's unfortunate.
Commercials are the whole essence of the Super Bowl.
I know. It's wild. How was your Valentine's Day yesterday?
It was good.
Good. I love Stephen's girlfriend so much. She is so wonderful and really just one of my favorite people. Jon Root is back here at TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, although he's sleeping in this morning. Taking his time getting back to the show. So he'll be joining us in just a little bit. But first, we're going to open the show, as always, with Jack Posobiec and Human Events Daily. Jack, as always, is going to be answering all of your questions related to foreign policy, which he does a great job understanding, particularly given his military background and career before he started doing political commentary. He's also diving into the craziness of Ukraine, which, Stephen, I feel like every time I turn around, the situation is like the 180-degree opposite of what it was 2 minutes ago.
Isn't that it's like it just keeps devolving into something worse. I can't wait for Jack to break it down because it is something interesting.
It is, always. Yeah, and I think really could be the future of foreign conflict that we're going to be dealing with. Maybe not so centered in the Middle East, but more towards Europe again. So this could be really interesting for you guys. But as always, Jack will do a great job explaining it. If you haven't supported Human Events Daily as a podcast outside of this live stream, you absolutely should. They're doing fantastic in the podcast charts, and it's a great way to take Human Events Daily with you on the go. So make sure you do that. Then we are coming back to the blue couches. Jon Root will be back as your host, and who else is going to be joining us?
Oh, it's going to be Isabel Brown. It's also going to be Clegg and yours truly. Yes, indeed. Yes,
awesome.
Indeed.
I always love when Connor, he's the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, joins us here on the show. He's got some hot takes.
He really does.
I think it's great. I think it's really fun. We are going to be talking about all of the craziest big news happening in the world and here at home in the United States of America. And as always, focusing not just on political issues, but cultural ones as well, which I think, Stephen, is so important for this show and what sets it apart from mainstream and more traditional media. We get that politics is always downstream from culture.
And that's why we handle it. That's why we take care of it. That's why we talk about it, disseminate it, break it down, and give it to you.
Absolutely. Then we are back with sports on this Tuesday. Another episode of Breakaway. Jon Root tuned in remotely from New York City, which is not my favorite place. I will be totally honest with you. It's always fun to visit, but I have what I call a 48-hour rule in Manhattan. It's really fun up until about exactly hour 48, and then I'm like, get me the hell out of this place. Like,
you need to be rescued.
It is bad. I need to see the sun and not step over heaps of garbage on the sidewalk.
That.
It's
I'm
gross.
Not a fan. I'm not a fan, and I'm glad I will not be going there anytime soon. Hopefully, prayerfully.
But Jon did, so he is going to be tuning in from New York to talk about the Super Bowl, what else that happened this last weekend. I thought it was a fantastic game. Like many of you, I was rooting in my heart for the Bengals, but I knew in my head that the Rams would probably win the game. So I thought it was a real nail-biter all the way up until the end. What did suck, however, were the commercials. And Stephen didn't tune in, but literally one commercial after another was about like electric vehicles, and then it was about racism, and then it was about, I mean, it was just wild. Google Pixel, I think I mentioned this yesterday in the open to the show, even ran a commercial about how their phone is special because their phone knows how to take pictures of black people and other cameras do a really bad job. So cameras are racist. You have to watch this commercial, Stephen. It was wild. He and Bryan are going to be breaking down the game, the halftime show, all of those crazy woke commercials that Rams fans ended up trashing and looting the city after the game, and more. And finally, we'll wrap up with some more Alex Clark in the newest episode of Politics. She's going to be talking about all of the beef between Kanye and Pete Davidson. Have you been following this?
Oh, yes.
Wild. Kanye West is taking us for a ride on Instagram. Not to mention his weird Super Bowl getup with the little holes poked through. The memes were fantastic, you guys. Hillary Clinton's dating life, that President Trump actually was spied on while he was president of the United States, and Hot Take Tuesday, which I feel like is every day, let's be honest. Alex always has her hottest
Always
takes
a hot take when it comes out.
for us. So stay tuned all the way through the live stream to watch that. But first up, coming up next, Human Events Daily with Jack Posobiec. We'll see you soon.
want to see an example of failed socialism, go to an Indian reservation.
A lot of the soldiers were very aggressive, so the women did get raped.
Muerte means a place of suffering, dying, starvation, nothing good.
I didn't realize how corrupt things were. I didn't realize what kind of environment we were living in.
We had no running water, we had no power.
They de-incentivize people from, opportunity.
That's why our suicide rate has climbed up astronomical rates. I think that's what I'm also projecting to my people, even if I have to fight you to save you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard today's edition of Human Events Daily. The world is in chaos, but never fear, Human Events is here. Today's top stories. The Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is suspending civil liberties. And mark my words, that's what he's doing. Next, a Minnesota bank is moving to close MyPillow founder Mike Lindell's bank accounts, he says. Third, Russia, just this morning, says they are pulling back some of their troops from Ukraine's border. And finally, a left-wing activist has been named in the attempted shooting of a Louisville mayoral candidate, Greenberg. All this and more ahead, Human Events Daily.
The federal government has invoked the Emergencies Act to supplement provincial and territorial capacity to address the blockades and occupations.
First, we are broadening the scope of Canada's anti-money laundering and terrorist financing rules so that they cover crowdfunding platforms and the payment service providers they use. These changes cover all forms of transactions, including digital assets, such as cryptocurrencies. The illegal blockades have highlighted the fact that crowdfunding platforms and some of the payment service providers they use are not fully captured under the Proceeds of Crime and Terrorist Financing Act.
So it's as simple as that. Canada is suspending civil liberties for the purpose of going after the peaceful truckers. And now, of course, there's going to be some mealy-mouthed statements, right? So the New York Times had a tweet up saying that Canada was temporarily suspending civil liberties, but then they deleted it and they said, actually, they're not suspending civil liberties. Well, explain this to me, right? So when Canada's deputy PM comes out and says that they're going to freeze your bank accounts, they're going to suspend your property, they're going to seize your property, your ability to access your money. They're even going to go after crowdfunding, even going to go after crypto, talking about crypto regulations now, all right? How is that not the suspension of civil liberties? And they're going to say, well, we said it's not suspending civil liberties. Don't believe them. The Emergencies Act, that's the name for this law, can only be invoked when a situation, quote, seriously threatens the ability of the government of Canada to preserve the sovereignty, security, and territorial integrity of Canada, and when this situation cannot be effectively dealt with by any other law under Canada. They continue, governments regularly deal with difficult situations and do so using powers granted them by democratically elected representatives. Emergency legislation should not be normalized. It threatens democracy and civil liberties, right? Now, AOC, right? Representative AOC is down here in the U.S. saying the United States may not be a democracy in 10 years. Well, guess what? She's right. Go look at Canada. I know there's going to be people out there saying, but Poso, wait. We are a constitutional republic. They can't just take our rights away. Are you paying attention yet? Do you understand what point in the movie you're in? Do you honestly think that the mayors and the governors and the politicians in this country actually care about what the Constitution says? When's the last time that you saw the judiciary branch actually stand for the letter of the law and the words of the U.S. Constitution? They will take your civil liberties away, and they will find whatever way they can to do it, whatever loophole, whatever emergency power, they will do it. Because at the end of the day, this comes down to that. It is about power. If there's one thing that I can teach you, it's this. It's about power. But if there's another thing that I can say as a way to try to find a way to make lemonade out of these lemons, it's as simple as this. Conservative politicians need to take a stand. I say it's time for the United States to hereby offer and grant full asylum and refugee status to all Canadian truckers, to all Canadian farmers, every single one of them out there within the sound of my voice. Come to the United States, open borders for you. And now look, I understand what people are going to say, but listen to me this. Hear me out, conservatives. Truckers are a strategic national resource. Farmers are a strategic national resource. And if Canada doesn't want theirs anymore, well, I guarantee you, we here in the United States, with our supply chain issues that we have, absolutely, we want your truckers, we want your farmers. Come to the United States. If we're going to allow 80,000 Afghan refugees in, if we're going to have open borders at the southern border for anybody, the millions that want to come across under President Biden's agenda, well, then why can't we have truckers and farmers? We can settle them in states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, Vermont, right? Keep them close to home. And they can be the Canadian Truckers in Exile organization. We will put you to work fixing our supply chains, doing the job that Secretary Pete Buttigieg, you won't hear Secretary Buttigieg and all those McKinsey smarts even consider this idea. Because again, they don't actually think about solving problems, but that's what we do here. We come up with modern solutions to modern problems.
Well, I just got served the papers. They're closing my account at Minnesota Bank and Trust. That's Heartland Financial, Inc. Remember, we brought it up a couple weeks ago, and all of you reached out to those to the bank president and stuff at Minnesota Bank and Trust, and I hadn't heard from them. Well, the cowards served this paper on Friday afternoon after the close of business day. They didn't even bother to sign it.
Now, in segment 1 today, we talked about how up in Canada, they are now freezing your bank accounts without due process. So no due process, your bank accounts get seized. Obvious suspension of civil liberties. If you don't have due process, then that means you don't have civil liberties. The government just does what they want. They declare you an extremist, they declare you a terrorist. Well, here in the United States, because I know what you're saying, Post, that can't happen in the United States. Come on, we have the Constitution, we have the Bill of Rights, we have, all this case law, we have this judiciary system. We will be fine here in the United States. These pieces of paper will stop them. These pieces of paper that are in the National Archive, Nicolas Cage can't steal them, and it will stop all of the communists that are trying to take away our rights. Yes, that will work. And all we need to do is keep pointing at them. If we just keep pointing at these pieces of paper, then that will stop everything that's going on around us, right? How many times, by the way, do you hear conservatives say stuff like that? Or they say, oh, well, we'll just hold a meeting and we'll give a speech about that piece of paper, or we'll, host a summit and talk about these pieces of paper. Look. Here in the real world, we understand what point in the movie it is. Mike Lindell, the CEO, the founder of MyPillow, is getting debanked up in Minnesota. So it's the Minnesota Bank and Trust, and they are a subsidiary of Heartland Financial. They are debanking him. They're preemptively debanking him because they're saying, and he's got a recording of the executive talking about this, the FBI is sniffing and looking. But what if somebody came and said, do you know what? We're going to subpoena all of his account records and this and that. And then all of a sudden we make the news, right? And now specifically, this has to do with Lindell Management, Lindell Outreach, Lindell Recovery Network, Lindell TV, the Lindell Foundation, Lindell Publishing, Frank Speech, Mike Lindell Personal, and the My Store. By the way, the Lindell Recovery Network, I don't know if you guys know what that is. And look, I know we do MyPillow promo code POSO, MyPillow/POSO, etc. Yeah, got it. The recovery network that he has, and Mike's been very clear, by the way, in the past, talking about he is a guy that came from an addiction background, right? That he struggled with substance abuse. The Lindell Recovery Network has no fees. They don't take insurance. They provide it free of charge to anyone who asks. It's faith-based, it's Christian. Why? Because he wants to pay it forward. He wants to go to people, and he understands the situation. He understands the people that are in the place where he used to be. How can you not like this guy? The same guy, by the way, who stuck with Kyle Rittenhouse as long as he did. The same guy, by the way, I know I've mentioned this online, that he is also right now, Mike Lindell, raising funds to get pillows and trucks full of pillows up across the border to the truckers up in Ottawa, up north. He's supporting those guys. So when I say go to mypillow.com/Poso, I'm not just saying, go and support our advertisers, right? This is a good guy. This is win-win. You get a good pillow out of it. You get a good product, but you also know that your money is going to support good causes. But what is this system doing to people like that? You say it'll never happen here in the United States, and I'm saying, wake up. It's already happening here in the United States. It started with social media bannings, right? It started with people I remember 2016. I remember in 2016 or prior to that, you never heard of people getting banned on the internet, right? It just wasn't a thing that happened. Some people got banned were like criminals, or people actually discussing openly, crime or hacking, or people don't even remember this. Back in 2014, 2015, you could go on Twitter and there were actual ISIS members, members, legit members of ISIS coming on Twitter from Syria or other parts of the Middle East and spreading propaganda or ginning up attacks, inciting things, all sorts of stuff, recruiting, obviously, right on Twitter, right on Facebook. And it wasn't until after 2016, we all know what happened, the election did not go the way that the party of Davos wanted. The neoliberal regime of the West that is controlled by the party of Davos has now turned on the censors. And it started with social media, and now it's moving into banking. And how much of our banking is kind of a social media now itself, when you think about it, right? Because it all goes through the tech giants. It all runs through Silicon Valley. So when I say understand the power nodes of the United States, right? Washington, Wall Street, Hollywood, Silicon Valley. These are the four major power nodes of the United States, and the neoliberal regime understands this. They understand this very, very well, and they come from Davos. They're led by Davos. Prime Minister Trudeau is one of them. Obviously, President Biden is one of them. Clearly, Boris Johnson is one of them. They are taking their marching orders from the same set of music. You are dealing with a regime, and understand that the only way to respond to it is the same way that you respond to a regime: solidarity.
We also exchanged opinions regarding the situation around Russian initiatives and proposals to the United States and NATO regarding giving to Russia long-term legally binding security guarantees. We have also talked about the main requirements, and the biggest of which is non-expansion of NATO to the east, non-deployment of the strike weapons next to the Russian borders, and rolling back of the military infrastructure to the status quo of 1997, when the founding act was signed between Russia and NATO.
Well, here's a problem, again, for the neoliberal regime controlled by the Davos party. The West, and this is out of AFP, the new headline we're just seeing now, West sees positive signs as Russia says some troops pull back. What? What's going on? I thought we were told the invasion was imminent. I thought we were told that Kiev was about to be bombed, right? Missile strikes on Maidan Square. That's what we were told. Missile strikes on Maidan Square. And that everybody needed to get to the bunkers and people needed to flee, that the U.S. Embassy was closing in Kiev. It's going to move all the way west to Lvov. It's going to be separated. We're going to shut down. Everybody needs to flee the country. And yet, hold on, let's go to AFP again here. Western leaders said Tuesday they were seeing positive signs that Russia was looking to ease tensions over Ukraine after Moscow announced that it was pulling back some of the troops deployed on its neighbors' borders. And the first announced withdrawal, that's the opposite of invade, right? So to invade, I may be a Navy officer, right? But at the same time, I can understand a little bit of this very highly technical and advanced army jargon. So I do believe that in fact, withdraw is the opposite of invade. Now, if anybody out there in the audience was in the Army or the Marines, you understand ground combat a little better than us, than us squids, right? Because we know water, right? We know blue, we know big blue. But when it comes to this, I'm pretty sure withdraw is the opposite of, I'm just, double checking. Withdrawing from among more than 100,000 troops Russia had amassed on Ukraine's border. The defense ministry in Moscow said that some soldiers and hardware were returning to bases at the end of planned exercises. Western leaders had accused Moscow of positioning the troops in advance of a possible invasion of pro-Western Ukraine, warning that any attack would be met with severe economic consequences. After a meeting on Tuesday that we just played with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Moscow, President Vladimir Putin said Russia, of course, did not want war and was willing to look for diplomatic solutions with the West. We are ready to work together. We are ready to go down the negotiations track. So you understand what's going on here, right? We've told you again and again. I think I was the first person out there to come out and say, and fact check me on this, go date by date if you want to, that said this is a wag the dog strategy. From day one, all the way back in January, we were talking about this. Wag the dog, wag the dog, wag the dog. That they're going to exacerbate tensions with Russia, and then they're going to turn around and say, we saved the world from Russia. And the same way that we saved the world from COVID. They won't talk about Omicron. They won't talk about natural immunity. They won't talk about the fact that they were the ones that exacerbated the situation to begin with. No. They're going to claim credit for something that was always an illusion. So if this is true, if everything we're seeing is true here, and all this reporting is accurate, by the way, the price of oil is going down, which is huge. That means the markets are saying they don't think it's going to happen. That means they think, and that's your key indicator right there. That's your absolute key indicator. And we've talked about this on Human Events more than anywhere else. What is this all about? What is all of this stuff about? It's about energy politics. It's about pipeline politics. And so when Putin is standing next to Scholz, Olaf Scholz of Germany, what is the main thing connecting them? Nord Stream 2, the pipeline that's keeping all of those German leaders' homes warm this winter. That's coming from Russia. So understand, this is what we're seeing now. It's multilateralism. The great game is back on. Russia and Germany are dealing together. Do either of them want war? It doesn't seem like they do right now. And there certainly seems to be a strong economic relationship, right? A supplier and a consumer, right? A user of the product. So the real question is, will there be any accountability, and of course there won't, for the people who spent months lying to you? Well, this is one of the craziest stories that I've seen in a while, and I'm sure that nobody else is going to be covering it. A local BLM activist and columnist has been arrested in connection with firing a shot directly at a Louisville mayoral candidate. This is out of WDRB in Louisville, Kentucky. On Monday night, Louisville Metro Police announced that Quintez Brown, 21, was arrested and charged with attempted murder after he allegedly fired shots into Craig Greenberg's campaign office on Monday morning. He is also facing 4 counts of first-degree wanton endangerment. Police responded to the reports of shots fired Monday morning at the Butchertown Market, where Greenberg's campaign has an office. Greenberg was not hit by a bullet, but a round hit his clothing, according to Louisville Metro Police Chief Erica Shields. According to the arrest citation, Brown fired several gunshots with a 9mm Glock handgun toward Greenberg. Thank God, of course, Craig Greenberg is perfectly safe. Police say they took Brown into custody outside of Butchertown Market. Shields said that his motives remain under investigation, and it appears that he acted alone. I have no clue why this person would want to do something like this. Brown, who is currently running as an independent candidate, he's running himself, right? I'm sorry, it's very hard to report this story without saying what in God's name is going on here. The defendant, the suspect here, is also running as an independent candidate for Louisville Metro Council. So running for city council, and then shoots, allegedly, one of the mayoral candidates. Well, the crack research team here at Human Events Daily, using some of our producers from Turning Point, actually went back and did some investigation into Quintez Brown. So who's Quintez Brown? And we pulled up something. Ladies and gentlemen, he's an MSNBC guest. He was on the Joy Ann Reid show in 2018 at the March for Our Lives. You remember that? Talking about the need for gun control. Let's go back.
You're from the home state of the Senate Majority Leader. What do you want him to know?
Well, I want you to know that, we are here and we want common sense gun reform. And if you're not going to give us that, then we're going to get everyone out here to vote, and we're going to vote you out of office. So if you want to keep your job, then, give us not what we want, but what we need, what humans need. We need common sense gun reform. Get rid of assault rifles. Come on,
Yeah. When are you guys going to turn 18?
I turn 18 September 25th. I'm already registered.
And already registered.
October 29th, so we're registered.
And you guys are making the connection. You believe that this is about being in the voting booth.
Definitely. Emma Gonzalez.
The same Quintez Brown, by the way, featured on Obama.org as a rising star. Quintez Brown of Louisville, Kentucky. He was interviewed on Joy Reid, March 24th, 2018, and has said that in the past that he is a member of the Judah Armed Forces, or they supports the Judah Armed Forces with a mission statement. Tez for Liberation is his Twitter account. This is all the hallmarks of a domestic terrorism case from a guy who was a featured guest on Joy Reid, on MSNBC, who was promoted by Barack Obama. He shot 4 times, we're told. 4 times. Hit the candidate's clothing, right? National media, crickets. Absolute crickets on this. Why? Well, he didn't do it on January 6th. If he had done it on January 6th, then we could all be talking about it. But he waited until February, so, of course, not that much of a story. Hold fast, ladies and gentlemen. The agents of the neoliberal regime, the party of Davos, are cracking down. They're cracking down in Canada, suspending civil liberties. The debanking has begun in the United States. The only thing that can fight back are freedom-loving and God-fearing free citizens. And that's you. So share this out. One of your normie friends, leave us your review. That's your homework. Our motto, of course, be good, be brief, be gone. Today's moment of history, big one. February 15th, 1898, history break. The USS Maine explodes mysteriously in Cuba's Havana Harbor. And this was blamed on Spain, and it started the inciting incident for the Spanish-American War. But it's never been proven exactly how that explosion took place. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.
All right, guys, you have signed up, right? You've joined freedomsquare.com. If you haven't, why not? This should have happened a decade ago. How did somebody not think of this earlier? If you're a business owner, we have a business directory to promote your business to patriots across the nation. So if you want to buy American, if you want to sell American, we have a business directory. Whatever it is, go now.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
Well, that ends our transmission here for Human Events Daily today in the regime occupied. However, as of today, vaccine mandate free National Capital Region of Washington, D.C. So we turn it over to the free state of Arizona as Turning Point Live continues. The couch. Take it away, John.
Thanks, Jack. Well, hey, everyone. Welcome to TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. Here's what we're covering today. First, a brand new contributor announcement and more in the daily briefing. Next, how you can have a better mental, physical, and spiritual health this upcoming year and for the rest of your days in this post-COVID era. Then a breakdown of crime in leftist and liberal cities. And finally, we'll detail the bombshell report of Hillary Clinton spying on the Trump campaign and Trudeau showing he's a tyrant, followed by an avocado crisis. And one last thing. All right, get ready. TPUSA Live from HQ starts now.
Authentic, unfiltered, grassroots content and conversation every weekday. Live from Phoenix, Arizona at the Turning Point USA headquarters, This is TPUSA Live.
Hey everyone, welcome back to TPUSA Live. Once again, we're at TPUSA HQ in Phoenix, Arizona. It is so good to be back. Isabel Brown, thank you so much for hosting yesterday.
Thanks for having me host, John. It was such a blast. I just felt like I was identifying as you while you were gone.
With long hair.
It seemed appropriate.
Yeah, with longer hair.
It's like you're like Legolas.
It was
basically.
nice to be like 6'5" for once, you know.
Well,
I wish. Yeah.
I'm glad that you were there because I don't think I'd have a lot to say about that. So it looked like a great episode.
Brutal.
You had a good time. A good time. Connor Clegg, producer of the Charlie Kirk Show. What up?
Sorry, I can't hear you. No, it's great to be here. Good to be back. Thanks for having
We got
me.
MAGA Hulk Stephen Davis. Another great shirt. Thin blue line. My goodness.
He didn't get the flannel.
Yeah, you didn't get the flannel memo though, Steven.
You would think we're in like Anchorage, Alaska or
Right.
something. We're all like dressed for it's 85 degrees
It's a
outside.
good look,
so
though.
I don't know
It's a
why
good
we're
look.
dressed like this.
No, we
but-
told them to turn down the AC. That's the way we like it. Let's throw on a flannel and here we go.
All right.
But also, I feel like it's always you are the one person that does not copy anybody else.
It's true. Got true style every time.
a trailblazer.
It's all about Steven.
Yes.
all right?
Clearly.
No, but we have an amazing announcement that you might have saw on our social media channels. Drew Hernandez, brand new TPUSA contributor. We are so excited to have him a part of the TPUSA family. He's an investigative reporter that basically had viral videos that were incredible, showing off what BLM's doing with the rioting and the looting, everything around 2020 and the height of those. So it's going to be a lot of fun. He's got a brand new show called Frontlines. We're going to show you a little graphic of that. My gosh, what a
that's
boss.
a beautiful
awesome.
picture right
I
there. That's
love Drew.
fantastic.
No better launch date than 2-2.
Seriously.
2-2.
2-2 day.
2-2 day.
It's going to be amazing. But what was the feeling when I know we have like a contributor chat and everything too? We introduced him. What would you think?
I love Drew. So glad he's going to be part of our little contributor family. I think he has so much integrity and courage that's really lacking in the journalist world right now, where he is donning the costumes and going undercover and infiltrating groups like Antifa, even when it puts his own life on the line. And he has had so many close calls and crazy stories that I'm sure he could tell you for hours and hours and hours on end, but he still gets up every day and still has the courage to document this stuff that the mainstream media is just refusing to cover. So I love Drew. Super glad he is part of our contributor crew now.
And I know he's been great friends with Charlie too. And obviously was a huge part of that Kyle Rittenhouse case as well. And then he was on stage at America Fest.
Yeah, I mean, Drew's got balls, man. And I'm really glad to have someone like that on the team. I know that, and he got Kyle free, and I think that deserves a lot of credit. And he's going to do a really good job for Turning Point, I think. So it's going to be fun.
Listening to some of the things that he was that he has been through, going undercover. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine. And the amount of times he's had close calls, right? Dealing with going undercover with BLM, Antifa, being chased. I mean, I couldn't imagine being in a situation like that. Plus, I don't really blend in that well, so there's that.
Who's that massive individual?
I've seen him before.
Not MAGA Hulk? What?
We're not going to give you too much, but we're definitely teasing that he's got some amazing content starting 2/22/22. It's going to be great, especially this investigative journalism that we're getting into a little bit more here at Turning Point USA. We had some of our production team that was out there for the Kyle Rittenhouse case as well, so we're only going to be growing. And then actually, Drew Hernandez is going to be on the show tomorrow.
Woohoo!
To break down more of that. So it's going to be way better than hearing us talk about it. You're going to get it from the horse's mouth. Also, there was some news that today Washington, D.C. is going to remove their vaccine mandate to enter businesses. But, shocker, just like some other places, kids are still going to be masked. You have to wear masks in healthcare facilities, nursing homes, public transit, but they are getting rid of that vaccine mandate.
Well, I'm glad Mayor Bowser saw the light of day. I am really pissed, just to be totally colorful with you guys, that I was there a month ago and just seeing like a few days after that mandate was instituted, how much it impacted the community. I mean, as an unvaccinated person who used to live in DC, I was talking to my friends who still live there, and they literally could not go into any of their favorite restaurants. They couldn't go see theater performances. They couldn't go to movie theaters with their friends anymore. It was really hard for them to get into certain museums that were run by the city, not the federal government. And it was literally like you couldn't be a normal member of society. So what changed between January 15th and February 15th? I don't know. All of science, apparently. Because yesterday I couldn't eat in a restaurant in D.C. and today I can. So, okay, that's nice.
Science.
It's science, data.
Yeah,
and
clearly.
the fact that you don't agree with that, it's just.
I'm an idiot, apparently.
Did you even do science in college?
What even is science? I don't know.
But also, too, there was some other little piece of news. I hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day. Look like you guys all had a great day as well. Great show. But Kimberly Guilfoyle and Donald Trump Jr., I know there's been speculation. They're engaged, in case anybody was really wondering.
About time, Don.
Coming up next, post-pandemic era. See you in 90 seconds.
Good ranchers, straight from the American farm. 100% American meat, 100% of the time. Delivered straight to your door.
Wait, are those my Good Rancher steaks? I'll be taking these.
Claim your 10 free bistro fillets with your next order with promo code TPUSA Live at goodranchers.com.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Don't let us stop that conversation.
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep going.
Oh, we were just talking about all of the craziness with Washington, D.C., and it was just so crazy when I was there. I mean, I used to love living in that city, which I know is a very controversial thing to say as a conservative.
Security?
But I did. I loved it. And there was such a great community of people going there to actually change the world and to benefit people's lives. And to think that those people that I love and care about so much literally couldn't check into a hotel, they can't use the gyms in their apartment building, or go to an Orange Theory class, or go out to dinner for their jobs and happy hour, which is such a big part of the DC culture. It just is absolutely crazy to me. And I realize why states like California and New York are probably rescinding some of these mandates is because the polling numbers are so bad going into midterms, but that doesn't really matter for the DC government. They are hyper leftist, like the worst possible direction you think the country could go in. And DC residents really only vote for the DC local government, and we're very in support of these mandates. So I'm not sure why they're getting rid of it now.
Yeah.
Science changed, I guess. I mean, that's what they're saying, but it's very odd to me. The whole thing's very weird.
Well, that's why I feel like it's a good segue here. Now we're in this post-COVID era. Now
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. Thank you. Well, actually, we might just have to thank leftist politicians in LA.
They
because they went to the NFC Championship game and the Super Bowl unmasked. Thank you, celebrities and leftist leaders.
Eric Garcetti held his
so much.
breath, so we didn't.
For 4
have
quarters.
Thank
It
you.
was an incredible performance.
Guinness
You
Book
thought
of
the
World
Rams
Records.
played well? LA Mayor Garcetti, MVP of the Super Bowl.
Clearly.
You've never seen a performance like that ever. It was incredible. But from here, like we talk about real health, and then I'm going to start with you, Stephen. I think a lot of people have gotten out of this routine. Obviously, we're going to talk on aspects of your social life, how people interact now, how this is hurting kids, but the physical aspect, real health, working out. People were told you cannot go to gyms anymore, and tell people how many bicep curls they should do every day to be really healthy.
Yes. I mean, well, the whole point is to go out and work out. The whole point is to stay healthy. You can't stay healthy sitting in your daggone apartment, your house, scared, shivering underneath the covers with 10 masks on where you can't breathe. You go to some of these health clubs and you can't even, you're supposed to wear a mask while you're on the treadmill. How are you supposed to breathe if you're,
I already can't breathe on a treadmill.
Welcome to my look. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It doesn't make any sense. You have to have a routine. You have to. It's a must. You have to get in there. You have to do something about your health. You have to do something about your fitness and do something about your body. And the way you do that is actually having a routine, getting in there, getting it done. And that's what they stopped when it came to the COVID mandates and all these vax mandates. Now you got to show a card to work out. Now you have to show proof of vaccination to enjoy fitness. It doesn't make much sense. It's not scientific, and I cannot stand it.
And obviously there's a sense of personal responsibility, a little bit, where it's obviously like there's no way these places should have been shut down. If we're going to talk about real health and wellness, you got to keep these places open. But there was this aspect of, buying a dumbbell or a set of dumbbells, like that price has skyrocketed. And it was crazy. So like everything was out of stores. Things took so long to ship.
Which Jen Psaki reminded us so nicely of.
Yeah, go get on your Peloton and have a margarita.
Marg night.
Scumbag.
Well, yeah, it's funny you talk about the weight skyrocketing. I remember when the pandemic first hit, right? And I was like, okay, it's time to, they shut down. I was going to 24-hour fitness at the time. They shut it down. I was so pissed off because on the way to the gym.
24 hours to 0 hours.
Absolutely zero, no hours, 0 hours. Goodness gracious, it was terrible.
0 hour fitness doesn't have the same ring.
It doesn't have the same ring to it. It just doesn't work. And, so it was like, okay, now we got to do the home workouts, right? We got to take care of ourselves at home, no excuses type of thing. So I remember right when the pandemic hit, prices of weights and dumbbells were about 50 cents to 75 cents a pound, right? Then it skyrocketed to about $1.50 to $2 to $3 a pound.
Oh my gosh.
People knew that you were trying to, get your fitness on and take care of your body, so they started gouging people, including a lot of these different like OfferUp and different things like that. They were gouging people, and it was unbelievable. It was hard to even do this at home. You go to the gym to take care of yourself. The gym shut down, so you got to do it at home. You can't do it at home because now the prices are skyrocketed. Capitalism. I mean, it has its positives and negatives in this case, but it was unbelievable that we could not get it done no matter what, and it was sad. It was frustrating.
Well, it was really frustrating, actually. It's really dangerous too, and it was infuriating because we knew from the beginning that if you were fat or if you were obese, right? Then that was a major comorbidity and a factor into whether or not COVID was going to affect you negatively. Like you're probably more likely to die if you have type 2 diabetes and you weigh 400 pounds and you can't see your feet when you stand up. So they said, I got a great idea. Let's make this all about public health. We're going to close the gyms. We're going to make it unaffordable to actually work out. And then if you go get the vaccine that we say is going to cure you, we'll give you a donut and a free beer, right?
Free donuts.
So it almost feels like our government was trying to kill us. Who would ever do that, right? I don't know.
Kids too. I mean, they took away sports, which is the easiest way for kids to get great exercise on a day-to-day basis when they're in school. Then when we were online, so many kids who are food insecure in America depend on getting fed at school. Otherwise, they're literally not receiving a meal, let alone a nutritious meal at home, and they took that away. And then once they brought all of that back, it was like, sure, you can play basketball and run track, but you have to wear this thing on your face that makes you not be able to breathe. So kids started passing out left and right playing all of these sports, and we never talked about it. Not to mention, then they all started getting vaccinated, and young men in particular.
And they started passing out because their hearts stopped working.
And it's like, are you
But we can't talk about that,
but
right?
That's health,
right,
apparently.
Of course.
And then how much did COVID lockdowns actually help us? CDC finds it 0.2% reduce the death rate. So clearly it didn't work. And then another aspect of this, we talked about the physical aspect, I think the spiritual aspect. There's way too many. We had a great conversation with people that are connected to us through TPUSA Faith, Charlie Kirk, talking about how so many churches closed their doors. People needed community, and they found community in places that were destructive, places that are of the world, places that are going to tell you this false sense of value and fulfillment. You needed the church to lead the charge, to help take care of the community. They still need to do that now, but they cowered away. And I think people have started to lose their way a little bit now. And then now we're in this post-COVID era, like churches that shut down for long periods of time, or even still do virtual, those places should not be supported, in my opinion, at all.
Thank you.
Stop living in
down.
fear.
Exactly.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, keep your doors locked. you are not doing right by God. You need to get out of the industry, go find something else to do. If you want to go make money, get out of the parish, right? That's not. It's not the role of the church is to be a coward. The role of the church is to be salt and light, right? And so if they're going to just sit there with, and shiver behind their masks, then screw you. We don't need you. We're going to find a better church.
There are still churches dealing with all of their regulations and everything. I mean, I grew up Catholic and going to Catholic Mass with my family. They're still not doing the sign of peace, shaking people's hands. They're still not doing a full communion service. You still have to wear your mask at many, many churches in the Denver area where I'm from. It's just crazy to me that we're totally fine, 75,000 people going to the Super Bowl and partying maskless. We're totally fine sitting next to each other on airplanes and in between sips, okay? You can fact check me here. In between sips, we can take our masks off, and everybody's fine with that. We can sit this close to each other or stand in line at the grocery store, but we can't shake people's hand at church.
Right.
Like, where are the church leaders standing up for this stuff?
Also, where's your faith? That's all it comes down to here. It's like a lot of these church leaders and the congregation, like you're putting your faith in your government.
Yes.
Like there's a massive problem there.
Yep.
And if you're going to put faith that these governing powers are going to take care of you until you're like, they took God out of schools. And they're going to try to keep you out of your churches too, and it's not helping anybody. And if you can pack into a Walmart or a Target.
Or have Satan con.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Satan con, but you can't go in your church.
Which should be illegal, by the way. Just so we're clear. We got a lot of hate for this online when Charlie tweeted this. But yeah, no, the First Amendment should not protect Satan.
Thank you.
It shouldn't protect devil's
I
speech.
disagree with that.
Oh,
we
well,
can have that
why?
conversation at a later time, maybe. I believe, as a free speech absolutist, the only answer to bad speech is more speech. So, of course, they should have the opportunity to host the event, because then we can point to it as an example of there is evil in the world. And as Christians, our responsibility is to go after that evil, to bring darkness into the light and combat it with the truth.
Don't you think
I
there's
think
enough
it's hard
darkness
to
here
bring
already, though?
darkness into the light when you're not allowed to talk about it.
Well, see, I'm not necessarily. My pen just absolutely blew up on me.
I'm sorry. He's still working out.
See, I'm not necessarily a free speech absolutist.
You shouldn't be.
I believe that there's good speech and there's bad speech, and the good speech should be promoted and bad speech shouldn't be. I think it was John Adams said that the Constitution was made only for moral and religious people, and it is wholly inadequate to the government of any other.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So when it comes to a moral and religious people, moral and religious people promote that which is good. That which is good for society will uphold society. So if you have just anybody saying whatever at any given moment, that will tear down the very essence of society.
Well, I think that's a fair point, but I also think evil exists, and it's always going to exist in the world. We live in a fallen world. We don't live in heaven where we are consistently a moral people. Eventually, I'd love to get to that point. I actually can't wait to be in heaven. I think the part of the problem with all this COVID stuff is that we've acknowledged the biggest fear of humanity is death. And I've realized that through all these COVID rules and regulations and people self-imposing them on themselves, driving with a mask alone in their car and not eating out with their friends and only going on Zoom dates. I mean, people are terrified of death. And I think it's because we've removed God from society so much that we have no concept of an afterlife. We think the only thing that happens after we die is oblivion. But we know, as Christians, here on this earth, we live in a fallen world where there's constantly pulling and tugging from good and evil, and at least I personally believe the only way to effectively fight evil is to bring it into the light, to acknowledge it, and then counter it with the truth and what is good and true and beautiful.
That's truly living life. That's why they talk about a sense of rebirth.
Yeah.
Like you need to be reborn in Christ, and then from there you're able to live that fulfilled life and have that relationship with Christ. And I know there's people out there probably watching right now. It's like they might not be religious or anything like that, but
I don't even think it's a religious argument at the end of the day. Like, even removing the religious argument of I can't wait to go to heaven, I think there are worse things that could happen to you than dying. I really do.
Absolutely.
And I've said it before, so many of us were so focused on not dying that we're forgetting how to live.
Exactly.
That's all it comes down to. Like the last 2 years, we have to just move forward from here. You might have been caught up in everything that happened the last 2 years, and I think a lot of people, it was from a good place. They wanted to take care of their family, their friends, their coworkers, everybody. But you got bamboozled. And we found that out pretty early.
Yeah, absolutely.
Put it lightly.
You really did. And I think also like this hurt a lot of social interaction with people.
Totally did.
Now like everything was just super heightened. Everything was so emotional. Everything was just some moral conundrum that you got thrown into. And where like you couldn't go to weddings, you couldn't go to graduations, your friends didn't want to hang out with you because they were terrified. Like look at all the stuff you missed over the last 2 years. it's like move forward. I think there is some grace behind that I think I've had a lot of good conversations with some of my friends and family, and then let's move forward. You might have got caught up in the lie.
I'm worried about moving forward.
Yeah.
I think we've, especially for children, damaged psychological interactions between people so much that it's going to take a lot of collective advocacy on all of our part to get us back to a baseline normal. Like we were talking about before the show, they're doing studies now on facial recognition and whether children can even remember faces of
Kids are a lot
adults that they've
dumber
met,
now.
and they can't because we're not seeing people's smiles. We're not even seeing their whole face every day. It's crazy.
Yeah, to your point, John, I like the way you think, but it gives me the heebie-jeebies to think that so many people were so responsible for the downfall of our civilization for the past few 2 years, and then all of a sudden they can just wake up because the polling is bad and say, "Oopsie, we got it wrong." But now it's time to reopen America. Like I don't think you should be able to move forward if you're that person, if you're that politician, if you're that Dr. Fauci type or the shadow government and the bureaucracy. No, you shouldn't get to move forward.
Well,
you
that's
should be
what I
held
say.
accountable.
I would like to speak on behalf of I would probably say American citizens.
Yeah,
but people need to be held responsible. I think we're all on the same page there.
Good. I mean, at the end of because so many people are so willing to just be like, we told you so. We told you were wrong. We've been right all along. And they just want to make it like this fun little thing, like, oh, you're a hypocrite. No, you're a criminal and you need to be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Right? So.
Absolutely. I mean, I've seen the downfall of society. In full. I mean, y'all saw that video when that black guy was trying to get on the elevator and those 2 white ladies were saying, "No, you can't get on this elevator. Can't get on this elevator," hitting them, pushing them,
That
pushing
happened
them.
to me and Charlie one time.
No kidding.
Yeah, we didn't film. We didn't have the wherewithal to film it, but this lady in Idaho was like, "You can't get on the elevator with us." And then Mikey walks in, another guy on our team, and was like, "Why not?" And she's like, "You have to get out of here." And Charlie was like, "What's going on?" Anyway.
Wow.
The downfall
But yeah,
of
that's what we're
society is
dealing with
crazy.
nowadays.
Yeah.
These people are nuts,
Yes.
right? And they need to be deprogrammed and then reprogrammed into, I don't know, being an American.
I'm fine with that.
Do we do that in the metaverse, or do we do that here?
Definitely not
you do it
there.
in the church.
Definitely not there.
I think we'll finish off with this. So producer Braden, he's on the TPUSA live team. He had an awesome tweet today. So it said, "So we're teaching our children how to be anti-racist with Ibram X. Kennedy, and also teaching them to be antisocial with Dr. Fauci."
Mic drop.
Mic drop.
Brilliant.
That's freaking
Great stuff.
fantastic.
Coming up next, in just about 90 seconds, we're talking about Crime Nation. See you in a second.
What if I told you that this has all happened before? The riots, violence, church burning, attacks on police, destruction of private property.
My name is Sammy Steigman. I am a Holocaust survivor.
This is the reality of what happens when you have capitalism that goes to socialism.
El socialismo no funciona. El socialismo no funciona.
TPUSA Live is about to be spicy. I mean, would you expect anything less? It's me, Alex Clark. Of course it's going to be spicy. Tune into The Spillover, my brand new podcast. Think of it like the older sister to politics with a lot more conservative.
What's up, guys? My name is Jon Root, and every week I'm breaking down the top stories in sports and bringing you conversations you won't hear anywhere else. It's going to be a great time here on Breakaway. Welcome back to TPUSA Live. We got Connor Clegg, MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis, Isabel Brown. I'm Jon Root. Crime Nation. Crime is skyrocketing.
Boo.
Yep. In
No
places like,
kidding.
obviously, LA, NYC, Chicago, and many other places across the country. And we've talked about it before on the show. Obviously, the whole defund the police movement. You have a lot of leftist politicians. They want you to forget what they've said about COVID. They want you to forget what they've said about crime. And then now we see more reports about, like, NYC. There's a spike of 100% compared to years past.
Lovely.
Yeah, that's helpful. It's helpful for us. I remember seeing this one video. This is a whole situation where 2 people were dead and got their heads beat in, and the cop pulls up, and he just casually gets out the car, right? And it's like, I can only imagine how desensitized these officers are when it comes to this the crime that's running rampant in their cities. I can only imagine the things that they are seeing with this rampant rise in crime, and these feckless DAs that are letting people off the hook left and right. It is unbelievable. I really feel bad for our officers and the mental health of them as well, dealing with these crime spikes. I really do. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, everything that we just talked about, I think, plays into this too. So, I mean, you shut down the churches, obviously you're going to lose your moral compass. You shut down your gyms, you're going to lose the place where men, oftentimes men, go to kind of let out some of that testosterone that's a natural side effect of being a man. You're going to lose schools, so you're not going to be locked away in a room with an authority figure for 8 hours a day for young people. And then what are you left with? You're left with the streets, right?
Yep.
And this is what the COVID hysteria, this is the underlying issue that it caused, right? It didn't actually save lives, obviously, right? We saw the Johns Hopkins study that said it saved 0.2, whatever. It was totally ineffective. But the deeper issue here is it actually hurt. It cost lives. It had a negative effect. It had a net negative effect on lives lost. And again, at the end of the day, if we don't start figuring out a way to hold these people accountable, it's only going to get worse, man. Because we've got to change direction. We got to change it fast, or else we're going to see the complete demise of our civilization.
And it totally changed the human psychological condition. I think, like, I remember being so surprised that everyone was shocked and amazed in the summer of 2020 that all these crazy riots were happening and violent crime was on the rise at a pace we've never seen before. And I just remember thinking, what did you expect? Like, you locked everyone in their basement, told them they couldn't visit with their family, that they couldn't hang out with their friends, they couldn't go to their jobs, so they didn't feel productive, they're not learning something new, they don't have a moral compass because they're not going to church. People break all the time. I mean, this is what we see with torture during times of war. This is what we see in crazy movies about like the worst possible thing that could happen, because it's true. Human beings are fallible and they have a breaking point, and you can only push people so far and test the limits of human interaction so much by isolating people before they absolutely snap, which is why we're seeing these crazy riots and the looting and the violent crime. I mean, some of this stuff about New York City in particular is just crazy. In 2021 alone, and this was less than what happened in 2020, I believe, shootings were up 30% and rapes and robberies were up 35% in a single year over 2020, which in and of itself was a crazy spike of a year. What did we expect?
And also, people don't respect authority anymore. They don't respect law and order at all. So we see this whole spike too, and they think they can get away with anything. I think this started before the BLM riots.
Yeah,
I think a lot of this came from President Obama. To be completely honest, he really started picking sides. And you see the Michael Brown case, like that got blown out of proportion, and it got to the point where a lot of people were thinking like, well, they're going to side with me. And all the police are bad, and that empowers criminals, and law-abiding citizens are being hurt in a lot of these big places. So this happened before COVID lockdowns and BLM riots.
It did, but what makes it so sickening to me is that we see these people go up on their ivory towers for 12 hours a day and preach about how they care about our public health, and they care about, lowering the death rate and things like that. But they have nothing to say when it comes to a black kid being shot in the neighborhood next to him, right? Because they wouldn't even feign to go in that neighborhood because it's too dirty and unwashed and unclean and unvaccinated, frankly, because the black people are naturally distrusting of the vaccination. You heard of Tuskegee, right? And so, yeah, there's a big problem here where our leaders want us to hate each other. And I don't think that they recognize the real impact that could have, because now we're killing each other, right?
Literally,
and there was a piece in the New York Times the other day. It was like, some talking head, pompous white liberal or whatever. He's like, why are so many Americans shooting each other? And I'm being serious. I don't think they have any idea. I don't think they know. I really don't think I don't think that they get it. I think
they want to put the blame on the guns, because
that's
the way
that's
they're
literally
always
what
going
they
to
do,
frame
right?
it. It's like, well, why?
Well,
it's
and
like,
that's what the rest
there's all
of
those
the world
guns out
says
there.
too.
So
all of the rest of the developed world is like, well, the reason America has the highest gun crime rate is because of all the guns. Well, that's not true.
Well,
there's gun crime in the UK. There's gun crime all across the European Union. That's not really the issue here. What is the issue is I don't think other countries are so specifically trying to divide people along the lines of politics.
It's tribalistic. And
it
it's
is.
like, hey, what about this? Put the guns aside for a second. Put the shootings and put the murders aside for a second. What about the rapes?
Yeah.
Right? What about the abuse of children?
Thank you.
What about all of this like domestic violence with your fists?
That's
and things
skyrocketed.
Like that. That's skyrocketed too. So don't talk to me about guns. We've got a people problem in America. We have a morality problem in America. And our leaders are doing nothing to fix it. They're only making it worse by dividing us into camps. It's tribalistic. And frankly, it's evil and it has to stop.
And
I thought we were going to be brought together.
One of the worst places, and I think that's a great point.
I was
there.
promised unity. I don't know.
Right.
We're getting more and more divided, and I think it comes from you have leftist politicians like Mayor Lori Lightfoot, has no idea how to keep Chicago safe at all, and she's blatantly lying to people. Check out this video.
Crime is not out of control in our city. In fact, crime is on the decline. All of our major indices showed a decline in crime, and our homicides and our shootings year over year are down. That's a fact, sir.
Oh, you think that's a fact? Well, we also have another video, Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Check this one out.
Chicago residents are speaking out against the defund movement as crime in the Windy City surpassing last year.
We're going to keep that up there for you. Right there. It just, boom.
It's right there.
Right there.
How do you... I mean, I think the parents and the brothers and sisters of their dead relatives would speak to the difference of that, because what we're seeing is an absolute surge in crime, and it doesn't help when you have people still promoting this defunding police movement, like Representative Cori Bush,
who was just shot at, by the way. Like someone just shot her at her car when she was driving wherever the hell she was, St. Louis, and she's like, "Oh no, we don't need cops. There's no violence."
She doesn't need cops because she probably has private security.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you keep gaslighting people again, like after the 2 year, we're on day 700, 15 days slow. That's right, by the way.
700?
701, excuse me, 701. Keep a mental tracker here. If you keep gaslighting people into thinking that you're actually safe, and you're like, no, there's a dead body next to me. There's a 15-year-old lying dead on the dirt next to me. I'm not safe. What are you doing? You know?
I
People
don't know
like
what
being lied
planet
to.
these people are living on.
I don't know either. That's what's so confusing, because we see it. The American people see it. We're living it. We're living through it. We're in the inner cities. We're in the suburbs. We're in all these different areas, seeing the effects of the violent crime that's going on in our inner cities. Yeah. So you can't sit there. There's situations in New York where there's a rape happening on the subway, and people just turn away.
I remember that just a few weeks ago.
Yes.
That was very recent.
Yes. This is how
no one said anything.
Nobody's saying anything.
We talked about this too. This is another time when I was playing John. It's because we don't have men in society anymore.
Come on.
There's no such thing as a strong man. That's demonized, right? So who used to stand up to these things? Strong men with chests, like C.S. Lewis wrote about. We don't have that anymore. That's been villainized, and now we have transgender freako activists who, they're more worried about tucking themselves in than actually saving someone from getting raped. It's disgusting.
Speak the truth.
That's why this is about good and evil and life and death right now. But it's turned into a right and left issue. Yeah. Where it's like, there's people, I guarantee you, in these cities, they're like, well, it seems like people on the right and their leaders want to push for, making sure that our law enforcement is protected and they're there for us, and all these policies that they're like, well, aren't they evil? And that's why I think the marketing is so effective. But it comes down to this. We have to remind people, good and evil, life and death. Yeah. If you want to continue to have your streets just in disarray, keep voting for people like Mayor Lori Lightfoot. But if you want to make a difference, obviously the conservative angle, that's why we're always going to give you that. It's like, this is why we advocate for law enforcement. This is why we advocate for law and order, because it's better for you and all of America. It has been.
Not to mention individual responsibility. If your leaders aren't going to do it, take it into your own hands, man. Go buy a gun, go protect yourself.
Preach.
And that's why guns just skyrocketed.
That's a good thing.
As they should.
It's fantastic. So that stuff is very, very good. But coming up next, we are going to talk a little bit Hillary Clinton. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
The Hildebeest.
And then also Prime Minister Trudeau talk about this whole elitist power. They feel like they can get away with anything. We're going to be back in just 90 seconds.
Everybody, how are you doing? My name is Osiga Kaku. I'm from the great state of North Carolina, and I'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
My name is Preston Para, and we'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle Clare from Bolingbrook, Illinois, and I will see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, I'm Mackenzie. I'm from Fayetteville, Arkansas, and we'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, I'm Johnny Richardson. I'm from Prescott, Arizona, and I'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
I'm Rachel. I'm from Dallas, Texas, and you'll see me at freedomsquare.com.
I'm Soraya. I'm from Chicago, Illinois, and I will see you at freedomsquare.com.
My name is Michelle DeGroot from Los Angeles, California, and I'll see you at freedomsquare.com.
Hi, my name is Emma Faye Redcan, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I will see you at freedomsquare.com.
Join us in the fight for freedom. Welcome to Freedom Square.
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. MAGA Hulk, Stephen Davis, Connor Clegg. I'm Jon Root, Isabel Brown. Welcome to the boys club again, Isabel.
Always.
Let's go.
It is always me and all the boys. Yesterday was interesting with Stephen being the only guy on the show. It was
it was a
different.
girls club.
You stuck out a little bit like a sore thumb,
A
but I
little
think
bit.
you were a good addition.
We needed it.
Thank you.
Yep. Lily did a great job too. Did y'all see Lily?
She
on
did.
Twitter? That
She
was phenomenal.
killed it.
Freaking
Phenomenal.
rock star is what she
Smart
is.
kid.
Lily from the media team did a great job. It was fun. I missed you guys, but it's good to be back. No doubt. Now we're going to talk about elitist abuse of power. We've been covering the Freedom Convoy for a long time now. Obviously, Jack Posobiec done a great job on Human Meds Daily. But Prime Minister Trudeau, he's starting to look like a tyrant more and more every single day.
Yep.
And, Tim Allen had a great tweet. He was like, this is Trudeau without makeup on, and he looked like just this old, like, demon. It's like gargoyle guy, and it's like,
Palpatine.
Yep.
I love Tim
Exactly.
Allen.
Tim
Yeah,
Allen's the
he's
greatest.
just
What about
iconic.
Santa Claus? No doubt.
Yes,
Apparently,
yes.
they're making a TV show about that, by the way, so that's exciting.
About Santa
He's coming
Claus?
back as the Santa Claus.
Nothing like some Christmas news in
Amen
February.
to that. Yeah.
But don't you dare play it before Thanksgiving. Don't play that Christmas music. But Trudeau, I know I'm on a different side.
You're
but
wrong.
talk about
You're
debate
wrong.
night. That would be
Ooh, spicy. Hot Take Tuesday.
He
over
declared a national public order emergency yesterday. The order's going to last 30 days. And there's a lot of news coming out that anybody that's associating with GoFundMe, Give, Send, Go, anything like that trying to support these truckers, trying to shut it down.
Yeah, it's super scary actually because of who he's doing it to. But at face value, I don't necessarily think what Trudeau is doing is a terrible thing. Let's say that you remove the truckers from the situation. Let's say that Antifa and BLM are burning down Canada, right? I would hope that he would do that. I wish President Trump had done something like that in summer of 2020. I wish we would have gone to the largest corporations in America and said that if you're going to contribute to domestic terrorists, we're going to cut off your bank funds. Now, is that a little bit dictatorial? Maybe, but yeah, I believe we need to preserve our country before we worry about principles or things like that, right? So this is how we should treat these thugs. The problem is that the trucker convoy has been completely peaceful.
Yes.
It's been a lawful occupation of a city that is doing wrong by its citizens. They told them to stop honking. They stopped honking. I mean, you can't get a more polite, friendly group of people than these folks. We had one on our show today. They're good people.
Yeah.
So treating them like they're, Soleimani or Bin Laden or the Oklahoma City bomber or something, that's what makes what Trudeau's doing evil and immoral, right? It's not that he's doing it. That's the role of government, is to protect your home and your country and your family and your citizens, right?
Well, I also think it's important for us to understand exactly what this means and what the legislation says, because it's one thing to say, like, oh, we're going to get rid of this crazy demonstration and this occupation, but the Emergency Act in Canada literally allows the government to just override your basic fundamental human rights, essentially. So immediately, with the stroke of a pen, they can ban public assembly. They're seizing trucks and other vehicles using in blockade, so they're seizing private property, and they're restricting your travel to and from specific areas. So they're literally banning their version of a First Amendment right, essentially. You can no longer even peaceably assemble because the government says so. And of course, Prime Minister Castro/Trudeau, if you've never seen the memes, it's time to go look because it's oddly similar. He's saying that they would not suspend what he called fundamental rights. I don't know about you. Freedom of assembly seems like a pretty fundamental human right to me. We put it first in our Bill of Rights for a reason in the United States. That is scary stuff, that their government in one moment, in the drop of a pin, can just say, yeah, no, you're no longer allowed to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we should all be very thankful for our beautiful Constitution, our founding documents. Morgan Zegers does a great job of teaching us all about these things on freedom papers. But Canada doesn't have anything like that, right? The problem is that shouldn't change anything. These rights are God-given.
Correct.
Right? They're inherent in who we are as humans. So yeah, it's sad to see this happen to the truckers, but government should have the power to act swiftly against an actual insurrection, like an actual insurrection, like the summer of love in 2020. So,
but that's how a lot of our leftist politicians have tried to justify their tyranny. And then that's exactly what Trudeau's been trying to do. Like when he spoke in front of the governing powers, there was like that one video or that one little photo that had like a Nazi flag in there, and he brought it up. And that's what they're going to use. Like you see, there's a playbook here. Trudeau uses the same thing. So does our leftist politicians. They're going to bring up January 6th. They're going to bring up that little thing to try to paint with a broad brush, and it totally eliminates the real conversations that we need to have and the real change that needs to be made.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well.
And then I know this was good. So Benny Johnson, he had a good tweet about Prime Minister Trudeau. Seems like he's pretty empathetic and supportive of China. Check it out.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted that I find quite interesting.
Like father, like son, right?
That is disgusting.
Yeah.
Castro. Tell
Yeah.
Just so everyone's in on the inside joke. I don't know if you've seen it's more than memes. Like it's like a DNA test. His father is probably Fidel Castro. His mom was sleeping around on his dad, who was also prime minister, a very weak one, which explains why she was probably sleeping around on him. And she was very involved with Fidel Castro, and so it makes a lot of sense that he would have a lot of admiration for Xi Jinping in China. So
I don't know about you. I think he's such a soy boy. Like he just
very
is
weak
so
young man.
beta.
Yes.
He's so weak.
Yes.
I don't even really believe he just got COVID, to be honest with you. I think he used that
Yes,
as an
exactly.
excuse so that he doesn't have to stand there next to a trucker because he just feels inadequate as a man standing next to a trucker, apparently.
how I feel
God,
sitting
he's
next to
just
Steven.
so disappointing. Like if I was Canadian, I would have zero respect
Yeah.
for my prime minister.
I don't think many of them do, though. That's kind of the good thing.
Yeah.
And,
Especially when you're praising a dictator.
Right.
And talking about and laughing about it and joking about it. That is not a good look for a person who's now going to be implementing a bunch of situations against these truckers. I mean, that's not a good look. You don't want to laugh and joke about something as atrocious as a dictatorship, especially with considering what Xi Jinping has been doing to the Uyghur Muslims. So I wouldn't jump on that train if I were him.
Well, it's like he needs a dictatorship because he can't win the actual affection and support of his people. Like, I feel like every dictator at their core is probably overcompensating for something, just saying. But they need total, absolute government power because they have zero respect from their citizenry.
True.
I mean, here's the fundamental point that we let our leaders slide with here in America, is that this soft liberalism always descends into totalitarianism. At the end of the day, it's the live and let live mentality. It's just like, go do unto your own what you would want to do or whatever. That's always going to lead to authoritarianism because people at their core, by nature, like Thomas Hobbes said, our nature is nasty, brutish, and short. So if you just let people out to live the way that they want to live, and you're the one who's in power, you're the one sitting in your ivory tower, then you're going to come in as this soft liberal and say, oh, we're going to have to step in here and take over everything. And we're watching it happen right now. I mean, this is a part of the Western world that has slid from democracy to dictatorship overnight. And no one seems to give a damn about it. No one's really talking about it in the media. And they're going to let them get away with it. But we should be really concerned about that as Americans. And like, I could give a damn less about how Putin is treating Ukraine, which neither of those are aligned with us at all, right? Ukraine's not some free democracy. They're actually a really bad place. We have a dictatorship like, 1,000 miles north of us here in D.C., and we're just going to let them get away with it? Because they oppose the same people that President Biden opposes? No, I mean, that's really dangerous. Our leaders are sitting there on their hands while a member of the Anglosphere and the Western Alliance just allows itself to slide into despotism. So, if anything, we should be sending troops to the border with Canada, not the border with Ukraine.
And then we talk about stuff not covered in the mainstream media at all. The Durham report has not been covered at all.
True.
So obviously there's some more like bombshell reporting there. That whole Russia collusion thing, Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation was probably behind. Crazy, right?
You're
what?
kidding.
You're telling me?
You're telling me now for the first time.
But check this out. There's a great little photo talking about mainstream media. How much did they cover the Durham report over the last few days or so? Check it out. Would you look at that?
Wow,
You see
CNN surprises me.
Zero.
Wow.
A full 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
From CNN, no less.
Well, it's probably from reliable sources.
Yeah, it was the eunuch, Brian Stelter, telling all of us how, it's actually not real, and he's heard from reliable sources, like all the ones who've gotten fired from CNN, that it's all BS, and we're too stupid to actually read the filings. So let me, Brian Stelter, read it to you, or maybe we'll ask our legal analyst Jeffrey Tubin, who's actually really good at keeping his hands to himself.
Yeah.
He can explain it to you, right? But no, it's disgraceful what they're doing, because you want to talk about an insurrection. This is a real insurrection. You let someone spy on the executive branch of the government, like Hillary Clinton, that's treasonous, first of all, and it's obviously an insurrection. And she should be punished for that. I mean, we saw what we did to the Rosenbergs back in World War II for treason and for spying. There's no excuse why Hillary Clinton should be exempt from that.
Well, she will be, unfortunately.
No,
it's
she
the world
will
we
be.
live in. There will be no punishment for this whatsoever.
I mean, she was
In
never
fact, she'll
punished.
probably be praised.
She will be. She's going to get a spot
Absolutely.
in the DNC.
She hasn't even been punished for Benghazi. The whole debacle, the whole situation. Ambassador Chris Stevens, and the other service members that were killed, no repercussions, zero. And it's like, okay, so at what point do we finally look at this situation and be like, are people in the government untouchable?
Yeah.
Sadly, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Fauci's
a
untouchable.
it's
The
a
Clintons
super
are
cynical
untouchable.
view.
The FBI is untouchable.
And normally the solution on a more optimistic show would probably be, well, you have to vote in leaders who represent your values who can go and do something to hold them accountable. But we did that. I mean, we're at a 50-50 Senate right now, so it's not great, but it's not terrible. And our senators right now on the right side of the aisle are far more focused on importing more foreign labor into the United States, right? We saw that today with 17 right-leaning senators advocating for more H-2B visas.
Frankly, there are
an unemployment
two left-leaning
crisis.
senators that have stronger backbones in the Senate than most right-leaning senators right now.
So all of a sudden we're just okay with Hillary Clinton just running a shadow government with the help of the actual government?
Right.
Yeah, I guess.
Spying on the White House?
Yeah, I guess that's fine now, right?
Yeah,
so if Hillary can do it, I can guarantee you China can do it.
Oh, absolutely.
She's
They
not an
are
impressive
doing
person.
it. I
Yeah, that's
guarantee
stupid.
you they're doing it.
Of course they are. Yeah. Of course they are. I'm sure they're not getting much. Just Biden getting his butt wiped or something, or eating ice cream.
Sure,
but
Biden would just tell him anyway. I mean, I'm not sure there's much to
Yeah, that's
spy
the other
on,
thing.
but
Right.
yeah.
Well, if our enemies were empowered at any time, they probably are right now. So we're going to see what ends up happening here. And obviously when you go into protected White House communications and the Clintons are going to be able to get away with it again, obviously we're already seen as an unbelievably weak nation. The weakest we've
makes
been
us
seen
really
in a long,
vulnerable
long
to
time.
attack.
So you got to be prone to an attack for sure. And I know we talk about this. Obviously, you see these physical wars happen, and you see bombs and shots go off and things like that. But there is a cyber warfare that we need to be protected from. And if no one's read the Mandiant report, that is always a great thing people should check out to see how we are being affected cyber-wise. And I mean, stuff like this, they just kind of let this go. China's going to be more emboldened. Russia's going to be more emboldened, all of our enemies.
Well, I actually think it has to do with preparing for actual physical war in the traditional sense that we think about, too. I was just talking to my parents about this the other day, and they were reminding me that when we all have a common enemy, everybody comes together. There's nothing that ever brought America together like a common enemy, so if we ever were to go back into a World War III type scenario, it would probably resolve all of our issues and bring us together. I don't think that's true. I think, going back to what we were talking about in previous segments, we've been so strategic with creating two completely separate realities for Americans on different sides of the aisle that we no longer really view each other through the lens of humanity. We don't value the humanity of our brothers and sisters who happen to vote differently from us. We allow stuff like this to happen with the Clintons and they totally get away with it. And we are so strategically dividing our country that I think if we were to escalate into a physical war in a traditional sense, we would be doomed because we wouldn't come together as a country. We wouldn't be able to mobilize resources. We wouldn't be able to defend ourselves properly. And I think there would be enough people in America who say, great, I'm glad this is happening, death to America, finally, that it would shock people.
Do you think that there would be people in America who would actually side with the opposing?
Yes. I totally believe that. Have you been on a college campus lately?
I mean, just
we
even looking at
literally
the
say
defenders
death
in
to
the
America,
Olympics. Yeah.
which is what terrorists say.
Well, people say that until it actually comes down to it, and then when it comes down to it, they're like, okay, I didn't want all this. So
That's what my parents were saying, but I don't know that I believe that anymore.
Yeah, that's
I
why
think we're
Connor
too
and
far
I are
gone.
like on board with this, like the defectors in the Olympics. There's people that are just like, all right, well, it doesn't really affect me that much, so I'll just go here and I hope you guys figure it out. And it's like, we're selfish.
Yeah, we're really selfish. And really quick, at the end of the day, it's impossible to have a common enemy if we don't have a common identity.
Correct.
And it's impossible to have a common identity if our leaders are continually telling us that there's no such thing as an identity. We don't have a nation. We don't have borders. We don't have an official language, anything like that. So, yeah, if something really bad were to happen, like 9/11 or Pearl Harbor, we wouldn't come together because we have nothing to come together over.
And then things that are pretty bad is we're being told there's an avocado crisis. So just when we think things couldn't get any worse, we got reports about this. We're going to break it down in one last thing. See you in 3 minutes.
You have to ask the question, how is the most heavily funded tribe have the poorest population?
Listen to me. My country is very because everything problem here. Don't have petroleum for bus and Cuban, for car, for life, for nothing.
And it sucks. Socialism sucks. There's no other way you can describe it.
Do you like guns? Do you like ammo? Do you like suppressors? Do you like freedom? Do you love America? Do you like baseball? Do you like rifles? Do you like 9mm? Do you like pistols? Join me, Paige Rue, every week on Reloaded.
Good ranchers, straight from the American farm. 100% American meat, 100% of the time. Delivered straight to your door.
Wait, are those my Good Rancher steaks? I'll be taking these.
Claim your 10 free bistro fillets with your next order with promo code TPUSA Live at goodranchers.com.
This is your brain. This is your brain on socialism. Any questions?
Welcome back to TPUSA Live. Got time for one last thing, and we got some more bad news.
This is a very sad show.
Bad news, baby.
Very sad. I don't know if we're going to be able to give you some optimism, but we're going to break it down. MAGA Hulk Stephen Davis, Clegg, Isabel Brown, Jon Root. Supply chain crisis, dealt with that for a while now. There's crisis after crisis after crisis, border crisis. Now there is a avocado crisis. Prices are already to the moon to get guacamole at Chipotle, and now we're being told that they are just weeks away from an avocado supply problem. So obviously, the U.S. unexpectedly paused imports from places like Mexico, and because of that, their chain relies on Mexico.
You guys watch the Super Bowl? Avocados from Mexico.
I'm like really depressed about this, just to be totally honest. I love avocados. I always get guac on everything. I love the video of the little boy who got an avocado for Christmas, and he said, "It's an avocado." Thanks. That's dead now. This is what Biden's America does to you, people.
No more avocado toast.
No more fun.
I've
more
always
fun at all.
I've always felt like guacamole at Chipotle was a tool of the liberal indoctrinating left. So maybe this is a good thing. I always
Why,
wonder
'cause it
why would
costs
you try to
extra?
sell me guacamole, right? And no, I'm kidding. It's really sad. We love avocados. They're a good source of. They're a good healthy fat like me.
I got nothing.
You're just laughing? It's like that hysterical.
We're just gonna get Steven to laugh for 6 minutes. That's it.
We're in hysteria mode. We're going crazy in Biden's America.
Yeah, I don't know. Why don't we block the importation of rapists?
Drugs.
Yeah.
Or drugs.
Heroin, fentanyl.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot better things we could block the importation of in America than avocados. It seems to be the one thing that unites us all is avocado toast.
Yes.
At least our generation, and now we can't have that anymore. So, hey, maybe why don't we get avocados from California? I don't know. We can do that.
Too many people left their economies and collapsed probably.
Probably. I don't know. I like a good American-made avocado, personally.
Yeah, I'm right there.
I guess if we try to bring in some sort of optimism, think about all the money you're going to save by not
Chipotle.
Honestly,
the extra fee.
Put another down payment on the car.
Do you guys, have you been to Qdoba? Have you been to Qdoba? That's like the alternative
Qdoba's
to
so much better than
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
They both started in Colorado. So we had both when I was growing up, and Qdoba guac is always included. So.
Okay, wait. We need to backtrack it just a little bit because I just heard that Qdoba is better than
Some things are better, some things aren't. It's just your palate and what you're.
Well, I mean, Chipotle is
normally
actually a
used
pretty
to.
bad company. They are really terrible to American farmers in a lot of ways, and they exploit the U.S. ranching industry at every turn. So, I mean, that's one thing to think about. It always also gives me indigestion. So that's personal, but yeah, Qdoba is really good. It
It's
tastes
good.
fresher.
It's
It's
really
fresh,
fresh.
yeah.
And their
So-
guac's included, so maybe you could put a down payment on a car.
There you go.
Where
And still
is
have your
nearest
guacamole.
Qdoba? Can we do some research? I'm going there right after this.
Still, it won't help. Avocados are still not coming into
Exactly,
America.
either
but,
way.
You know.
And probably the last time people have like a really good avocado or some guacamole would probably be your Super Bowl party. So it might be a while before you have that.
What do you think's next on the chopping block? Have you been to the grocery store the last few days? Like the cereal aisle's empty, bread is pretty empty. I mean, there's a lot off the shelves right now.
Yeah, we look like a third world country. It's really weird.
No, we're not. We're building back better, gentlemen.
Don't you
and
know?
lady.
We're
Okay?
killing each other. We don't have guacamole. Yeah, look, if you thought crime rates were high right now and people were upset at each other right now, just wait until you take away their avocado toast and their guacamole. I mean, it's going to get really bad really fast. So that's assuming you're not dying from fentanyl overdose that are coming over the border.
Imagine the people that are going to get so upset about that, though. Like, seriously, where's my avocados?
Where's my avocado?
I don't think they
Maybe
would be
that
that terrifying.
will be what pushes liberals over the edge.
Maybe that helps them wake up.
Hey, look, if this is the thing that it takes to get the folks on the left to wake up and
They
start
can't
voting for
Instagram
conservatives,
their avocado toast.
maybe that's
at
what
brunch.
it takes. All right, a small price to pay.
Could you imagine somebody running just on that?
I could.
Bring back the avocados.
back.
It might work in California. It just might.
We're not a serious nation anymore, so
Not
I can
at all.
see anything, right? The avocado
I
party.
am really curious what's going to be next as the next
on the
shortage,
chopping block,
though.
yeah.
I think it's
Coffee,
very
probably.
quickly, maybe coffee, I could see that. I think very quickly it's going to turn into crucial medicines and ingredients we need for that. Gasoline, because we're not focused on creating our own oil. We're completely dependent on everybody else. And if Russia really does invade Ukraine, they're going to hoard all their resources. They're not gonna
Luckily,
give
we're
it to us.
focusing on electric vehicles, like President Biden was saying during the Super Bowl. Thank
Well,
God.
electric semi trucks, because those don't dissent against the regime too. So that's another thing.
They're controlled transformers that he's putting together.
Which is terrifying. Shia LaBeouf everywhere.
Well, that's a scary America.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah. Keep smiling, everybody. Don't let this get you
Smile
down.
through it.
I know it's a sad doomsday show we had for you, but you know what? All you can do is what you can do. So keep standing up, keep smiling, be a happy warrior, tell the truth, and don't back down. We need more people
Personal
like that.
responsibility. We talked about that quite a bit.
Yes,
but hey,
sir.
coming up next, you're going to see the brand new episode of Breakaway.
All right.
The Super Bowl recap.
Woo!
See you guys tomorrow.
Welcome to our first ever political correctness and inclusivity training. First off, safety. Just want to make sure that everyone here is jabbed, right? Just kidding, none of my business. So I'm Dylan, I'm your HR rep. A little bit about me. I'm a white man, and I'm so sorry if that makes any of you uncomfortable. On to the first order of business today. We're going to be talking about diversity. And Josh, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Donde está la biblioteca? I'm from Colorado. I learned that from Dora.
Okay, second order of business. This is a mental health friendly workplace. Yes, Alex.
If we're really a mental health friendly workplace, what are we doing about the suicide rate of the birds? Because I saw 2 dead birds in the parking lot yesterday.
Alex, shut up.
Yeah, there's been a really big disregard for the bird lives ever since people in the office started sharing the birds are not real meme. Birds are definitely real. The government's putting chips in their brain, which is making them self-destruct and kill themselves, and we have to be talking about the real issues, or what are we doing here at all? Bird lives matter.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
That's what BLM stands for.
That's not what it stands for.
She brings this up every time.
Why is Mitchell in a Pope costume?
Why are the snacks always feel like that?
I think this went really well. All in all, this is a great place to work, and we're becoming more politically correct every single day.
Good morning, Vietnam! Hey everybody, this is Bryan Farnsworth, your co-host of the Breakaway podcast. Wow, what a weekend we had. This is the official Super Bowl recap show. But wait, what the heck? Why is it only me sitting behind the desk? Where's my co-host John? That guy, as he will be telling you, was in New York City, the Big Apple, last night. Welcome to the show, Jon Root.
Wow, Brian, I wish I was there with you. I miss you guys this morning. To everybody in the production team, I miss you guys. But yeah, I'd say it's a little bit colder out here than what you're dealing with in Phoenix. But heck of a time. What a game. Let's chat about it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, the first word that comes to my mind is pain. As we all remember, I was big on the Bengals. But I mean, Rams took care of business. I mean, they did what they had to do to win that game. They very much were who we thought they were going to be. I mean, it was one of those games where you just you've changed in your mind who you thought was going to win maybe 4 or 5 times as different moments of the game, different, either the Bengals or the Rams had the momentum. But at the very least, once again, we are just gifted a memorable Super Bowl. I'm gonna remember this one for a long time.
Yeah, this was great. And also, too, before I give you a little bit of a reaction to that, for people that want to understand why I'm not there, I went out to Harrison Butker's Super Bowl party. Him and his clothing company that he partners with through a little partay.
That's
so
awesome.
I was like, all right, I'm going to New York. I'll see you guys there. It's amazing. Actually, I'm not in NYC. I'm in Saratoga Springs. So pretty bougie area, a place they actually have the Preakness. So incredible spot, but I completely agree. There was probably over 100 people here, TVs all over the place, and everybody could not get enough of this football game.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew it was going to happen, though. I feel like that's what people have to enjoy about this podcast. We told them what was going to go down. We told them that the Bengals O-line was going to be wide open like the southern border. Joe Burrow's going to get sacked, and they're going to have to try to find a way to win. And man, I'll tell you what, though, those 2 quarterbacks, both Burrow and Stafford, got rolled up on a couple times.
Yeah,
we're just, oh man, are they going to be okay? What's going down? And those are 2 tough dudes. And how about Joey B showing up in that fit, that like couple shades of gray tiger
I gotta
Bengals,
say, I
Tigers.
wasn't a fan of the fit. I thought it was. I looked at
come
it. And I
on.
was like, "That's a bad suit." I'll say it. You know, I love that man's style, but no. But yeah, the tiger stripes. That was a nice little touch. But did you see Matthew Stafford's fit?
Oh yeah,
Just rolling up in like a just black T-shirt. And it was like
that's what.
just so minor. So just like I'm just here to play football.
That's what you gotta love, because you know that he knows Joe's gonna show up looking swaggy.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, all right, I'm gonna do the complete opposite. But man, those two quarterbacks, pretty impressive game. It was just fun in general. It was a lot better than the last time the Rams were in the Super Bowl. Sean McVay looked like he actually knew what he was doing and he was able to adapt. It was fun. Like, that was a lot of ups and downs.
The interesting part, though, about the Rams offense was, I mean, obviously, Rams could not run the ball on the Bengals. They had like 48 total yards rushing. Bengals shut down their running attack. And then early on in the game, OBJ looked like the Rams were going to score 42 points. But as soon as OBJ was out, the Rams offense fell apart. Like, until that final drive, they were kind of just a shell of themselves. And it really did get me thinking of, like you said, McVay, much better job. Obviously scored a lot more points than he did last Super Bowl. But the offense with the injuries, I feel like a team that could have protected their quarterback better would have beaten the Rams. Like, they got really lucky there that the Bengals had such a bad O-line.
OBJ, though. OBJ, who's the guy that said, what's the biggest lock? OBJ, anytime TD scorer. I told people I put it on the Super Bowl special. I put it on my IG story. And you know what? I was like, I feel so good. He's going to be the first touchdown scorer.
Oh, yeah.
I put that down. Also, I was running around the Saratoga National Golf Course lobby like I just won $1 million or something. Everybody's watching me freak out. I was so stoked. I told everybody, I was like, watch, he's going to score. And it was a perfect start.
Oh, it was right off the bat for you.
Yeah, it was right off the bat. I had him as anytime touchdown scorer. I had him as the first touchdown scorer. And it was something we talked about in the Super Bowl special, too. For anybody that may have missed that, or if you listened to it or watched it, that was a blast. I know I got a lot of good responses for that. I appreciate all the support there. But said the Rams would start out hot. It's what they do. And also the Bengals, they start a little slow themselves. For some reason, that's what they've done. They've been the underdog. This was the third game in a row. They were the underdog. And they just try to find their way back. But we knew that they were going to have to try to find a way to get over a bunch of sacks. He got sacked 7 times. And then it was like an NFL record. Joe Burrow got sacked, 16, 19 times this postseason?
Something like that. I know all together, regular season and postseason combined, he was sacked 70 times this year. That is, coming off of he was sacked a lot, even in the like half season he played last year. This is, the Rams have a lot to fix, which I know we're going to jump into in a moment, like the what's next for both of these teams, because this Super Bowl has now that the season is over, there's going to be a lot of questions moving forward. But we know why the Rams won. Let's kind of get into, John. I want to ask you, why did the Bengals lose? What was the problem? What were the mistakes they made?
Well, they lost because of obviously the offensive line. We can talk about that until we're blue in the face. But I think the Bengals coaching staff kind of showed that they were not as high quality as the Rams coaching staff. You could tell this was their first Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You could tell that these guys were desperately trying to figure out, what's the next move? How do we get the ball to Jamar Chase? How do we kind of get Joe Mixon going a little bit? What are we going to try to do to put Band-Aids on this offensive line? Trying to do some quick hitters. But I think a lot of it came down to O-line. It came down to coaching. But still, they stuck in that game.
Mm-hmm.
They came right off the bat, second half. Obviously, we're going to talk about the refs quite a bit. I don't freak out on this officiating as much as a lot of people were on Twitter yesterday. But if we freak out about something, like that was a blatant offensive pass interference. T. Higgins just grabbed Jalen Ramsey's face mask and just threw him down, and then that 75-yard tutty. But I mean, there were some big plays too. Like there were some deep balls, and I think we might have been talking about that with Charlie. I was actually kind of surprised they had some deep shots. They had one to Jamar Chase that was great. That got them within the 20, and obviously T. Higgins taking that 75-yarder to the house. I mean, but I think it came down to coaching. That's it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I actually, I'll get to the refs in a second. Really, like you said, the coaching was a problem, and specifically in that second half, the Bengals came just screaming out of halftime. Obviously, they got that 75-yarder to T. Higgins, touchdown, penalty, whatever. And then they intercepted Matthew Stafford. And that's another thing you and I talked about, and I think with Charlie a little bit in the pregame show, was we expected Matthew Stafford to make mistakes. Like, we all know who Matthew Stafford is at this point. Really good quarterback, good in the clutch, tough, lays it all out on the line, but he plays aggressively, and so he makes mistakes.
Hey, if Matt Stafford decided that he was going to retire today, put him in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know. I've seen
put him in.
I've seen people say that.
Put him in.
I mean, the man's never won an MVP award in his life. Has one Super Bowl. I don't know. I can't in good conscience put him in. I want to see another postseason appearance where he actually goes out there and does some stuff. Because this was a really good team. I mean, the Rams went all in.
That was the thing we talked about too. Yeah, they went all in this season. And then also too, like, Matt Stafford's a beast. We've known that for a long time. And then finally he's put on a good team, and he wins a Super Bowl in his first year. And you know what's crazy about that is we literally just watched two teams, 2 seasons in a row, win on their home field, win the Super Bowl with brand new quarterbacks. Obviously, Tom Brady last year joined the Bucs, just went right in and won. Matt Stafford goes right in and wins. It feels like that's where people are trying to say, "Oh, the NFL's rigged. They're putting all this stuff together. They want LA. They want LA to win. They just wanted Tom Brady to win." No, this is great stuff, people. Like, you watch football like you watch this season's playoffs. This had to be top 3 all time. Maybe like that divisional round, we're never going to see anything like that again. We had a great AFC and NFC championship game. Like the way the Bengals came back just to get to the Super Bowl, only to rip out the hearts of the people of Cincinnati. Harambe died. They've been dealing with that for a long time. They say they're going to play for him, and they can't get it done. But they went all in. Matt Stafford rolls in. OBJ, I'm so happy for him. Did you see him hugging Von Miller after the game?
Oh, he was ugly crying. I mean, he was thrilled. And that's where, obviously, I was going for the Bengals, but there's a lot of players on the Rams that I really do like. I think Aaron Donald is just, to me, Aaron Donald, Hall of Famer already. Cooper Kupp is well on his way to a Hall of Fame career. Matthew Stafford, I'm not ready to put him in Canton yet, but I agree with you. He's on his way. Go on.
Cooper Kupp. He won the receiving triple crown. Obviously was the offensive player of the year in the NFL. And led, I don't know why I did not put money on Cooper Kupp leading all receivers in receiving yards. I ended up going with Devontae Adams because I thought the Rams were going to keep rolling, or I thought the Packers were going to keep rolling. But this is the first time someone's done that triple crown, offensive player of the year and Super Bowl champ and MVP since Jerry Rice.
There's a honest,
incredible.
Like, you really could have the conversation, which is just crazy because nobody really saw it coming. Was this the greatest wide receiver season in the history of the NFL?
I would think so. What he was able to do, I mean, it's tough because you're literally just going from the GOAT, the greatest receiver of all time, Jerry Rice, absolute beast, Hall of Famer, to Cooper Kupp. I mean, you know what star recruit he was when he went to Eastern Washington?
Zilch.
Zero.
Yep.
0 start. Like, what another great story. I don't know if you're going to find a better season than what Cooper Kupp just put together. Like, that was incredible. And then everyone just trying to like crap on Eli Apple too. It's like, dude, you're going against like an absolute alien in Cooper Kupp. And I know he was getting a lot of shade from, I know McCole Hardman Jr. from the Chiefs was chiming in on Twitter. I know Tyreek Hill had a few things to say about Eli Apple, but man, that's a tough matchup. And even when you got a safety like over the top, trying to worry about Cooper Kupp, and then obviously it helped out when OBJ got hurt for him, but like, you can't stop Cooper Kupp. You can only just hope to contain him. And what he put together was amazing. And he's talk about a good role model too. That is a guy that kids playing football right now should emulate. The way he talks about his wife, the way he talks about his faith, the way he just plays ball. You got to love Cooper Kupp.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's all heart, all effort. You know, he's proof that it doesn't matter how many star recruit you are, you can work your way there. Don't let the dream die. You can get there. Now, I agree with you. I don't necessarily agree with Twitter of just roasting Eli Apple over and over again. Yes, did he get burnt a decent amount? But until that last drive, Cooper Kupp was held in check. I mean, he had 3 or 4 receptions on that last drive of his 8 total, 92 yards. So he hit the under on what Vegas was expecting of him. And then the two touchdowns was fantastic. I mean, that's why he won Super Bowl MVP. But without that last drive where he and Matthew Stafford just got locked in together, the Bengals did a really good job containing the offensive player of the year.
And then talk about that second touchdown too. Like, what a crazy time that was. Just penalty after penalty. But look at the way they had to guard him too. There was a good amount of penalties that Cooper Kupp drew.
Yeah.
He might not have gotten those catches, but he's kind of like a guy in basketball where he was able to draw a lot of fouls.
Yeah,
and
get to the line.
He was able to like get that foul count up, like get some guys to the line, get some one-on-ones. Like, he affected the game in incredible ways. And I think it opened up some of those holes. It was interesting at times because obviously like Higbee, like not in there. And you had Blanton that
got hurt
when
early.
Higbee so he was gone. Like, there was a lot of those factors that were interesting because that's what happens in these big games. Like, what are you going to do? That's a part of coaching too, that you got to be able to adjust. And I think that's something, again, that the Bengals didn't know what to do. And the Rams, next man up.
Yep.
Who's it going to be?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of those guys had been there before. You know, they've been to the postseason. That's where we were kind of waiting all year and then all off season for, okay, these are young guys. This is a young team. They don't know what they don't know. And that's kind of why I feel like a lot of the fans around the league really rallied behind them. But ultimately, the stage ended up being a little too big for them. They ended up making a lot of mistakes. Tyler Boyd had that drop ball on their, second to last drive on 3rd and 9, that if he converts that, because Burrow put it right in his hands, he just turned his head too early. If he converts that, they most likely get a first down, and they could keep running the clock, and maybe they have a Super Bowl ring on their finger right now. Samaje Perine not able to, on a 3rd and 2. But no, that last drive, it starts out with that sideline throw to Jamar Chase. He takes it up. He actually probably runs out of bounds 5 yards before he needs to, but that was kind of fine, whatever. But then remember,
probably one of those, just like I gotta get out of bounds, try to stop the clock, like,
rather than getting tackled in. Yeah. But no, then on the next, it's 1st and 10. They throw a 9-yard pass to Tyler Boyd. He catches that one. So now it's like, 2nd and 2, 2nd and 1-ish. They have a miscommunication, so they burn a play. Burrow thought Jamar was going to go deep, and obviously he didn't. So it's just sails over. So now, okay, you just burned a very important play. The next play, they run it with Pirine, and he can't convert on 3rd and 2. Holy crap! And then of course the 4th and 1. What's wild though, I saw this. Somebody put this on Twitter, Instagram actually. I think is where I saw it. On that 4th and 1, that obviously Aaron Donald put the team on his back, got to Burrow, forced that incompletion. Jamar Chase was in the process of burning Jalen Ramsey. In fact, he had Jalen Ramsey falling down. If Burrow could have stepped and avoided that pressure, he had a wide open Jamar Chase that could have had a game-winning touchdown, a walk-off touchdown. Those two guys are going to, the pain, I cannot imagine what they're going through right now. This is the type of stuff that's going to drive them nuts over the next 6-7 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens too, is, that's what's fun about a Super Bowl like this. It felt like every single play just meant the world.
Yeah.
Every single one here, that's because we've had some Super Bowls in the past, and even like last year's Super Bowl didn't feel like that at times. Like it felt like there was a little bit of a lull period. Feels like every single play had an emphasis on it. Like, this is going to be big. Who's going to potentially get burnt? How many times is Joe Burrow going to get sacked? What is he going to do? And moments like that, that's where Von Miller has been so essential for that Rams defense.
Oh, yeah.
You can just tell how much those guys love and respect him. I mean, that's a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, that when it came down to it, Rams defense needed to win them a game. And a lot of people, if it's Bengals offense versus Rams defense, who's going to win you the game? 9 times out of 10, I'm taking Rams defense, and that's what was able to get done. Aaron Donald, I was not able to cash in on my
I made that one
plus
too.
assist bet.
Yeah,
man. But I think he was one of those guys too, where Aaron Donald, probably at halftime, we're probably going to see some more news that comes out where he was like, I came too far and done too much to lose this game. I'm gonna do my thing. And what a great way to cap it off. It's like one of the best defensive players we might ever see secures the dub for LA in LA while celebrities are going nuts while they're maskless. It's great.
Well, so speaking of Aaron Donald, have you seen all the reports that he's going to contemplate retirement?
Yeah, because I know they were asking him that. I forget who the ESPN sideline reporter was. Diana.
Yeah,
Diana Rossini.
Yeah.
Diana.
Love her.
She was great. Yeah, she always does a great job. And, it's a question she's got to ask. And I think, obviously, Aaron Donald gave the answer that you'd always expect. I'm just kind of living in the moment right now. It's like, of course. It's like, well, Diana, I just won my first Super Bowl, so I'm going to live in the moment here. Then I'm going to go to Disneyland. Then we can talk.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm interested. At this point, I was shocked about Tom Brady retiring. I thought he had about 45 more years in him. And, I think who knows? Like Aaron Donald, it could either be one of those where I've been working my whole career to get to this point and I feel accomplished.
Yeah.
So let's just go out on a high note, or it's just going to continue to inspire him. And because I'm going to look up right now, I think Adam Schefter talked about some Rams free agents after this game. So you have OBJ,
yep,
Von Miller, Darius Williams, Sony Michel, and then you got Deontay Deacon, Matt Gay, the kicker, and a few other people. I mean, they got a great chance. I mean, if OBJ keeps taking his salary in Bitcoin, LA can keep signing people. But, dude, I don't even know what he's going to do. Do you think Aaron Donald's going to call it quits? Because for me, I can't see him calling it quits with a couple of these guys that they want to sign again and keep it going.
Now, I can't see him retiring right now because, look, Tom Brady was 44. Aaron Donald's 30. So he is up, up older for an NFL player, but he still clearly has so much left in the tank. And that dude makes like $25 million a year. He's one of the highest paid players. There's a lot of people who consider Aaron Donald the best player in the NFL. Now, if he were to retire, walk out on top, hey, all power to him. Respect your champion. Like I said, Hall of Famer. But no, I think he'll want to try and defend the title. Be like, hey, we won this and we think we can keep it rolling. But when it comes to the free agents, they're right now, according to overthecap.com, they're projected to be already $13.5 million over the cap currently. They have to do some restructurings. And now, look, the cap is all a fugazi. It's all monopoly money anyways. But they're going to have to do some restructurings that if OBJ wants to get paid $20 million a year, he's going to have to do that somewhere else. That money is not going to be in with the Rams. Von Miller, a lot of people still expect he can get paid easily $15 million a year. Once again, probably can't get that from the Rams. A couple of these really star high performers, that's the problem with going all in and trading your cheap draft picks for established players is you got to pay the piper eventually. And that's why if they didn't win this Super Bowl, they were screwed, like done. So luckily it paid out, but I don't know. Come free agency, I think we're going to have to see the stars walk, personally.
Who do you think is going to be gone?
I think OBJ for sure. I think he would like to be there in LA. I just don't know if I could see it happening. Maybe they end up cutting a couple people. Maybe Andrew Whitworth retires. So, I mean, that dude's 40.
He's got to retire.
That dude looked like a grandpa out there. But so there are a couple guys. Go ahead.
We were talking about though with Whitworth. I think we were talking about that in the Super Bowl special. How he's one of those guys. Everyone's like, man, father time here. I can't believe he's been in the NFL for that long. He's an offensive tackle, and you know who's? I mean, Brady's older than him.
4 years older.
Brady, yeah, he's 4 years older, and we look at Brady and it's like, wow, you know, he looks like a young man.
Yeah,
and it's like that just goes to show that someone like Whitworth, who's been in the trenches for years and years, like you do not see offensive linemen or defensive linemen, anybody, linebackers, play that long. It's impressive, but it's funny. Everybody looks at Whitworth like, gosh, what an old man. And then Brady's like this young whippersnapper. I can't believe he's that old. Yeah.
But it's crazy. Whitworth's beard is so white. Like there is no color left in that thing practically. But I mean, look, the guy's 40. He's had an incredible career, still playing at a fairly high level. But I feel like he is somebody who could walk out on top. I mean, just, really just the sunset is on his career. Just go out a complete champion. So maybe, somebody like that retires and frees up a little bit of money, restructure. But also, they have to hand an extension to Matthew Stafford, which is probably going to be very big. Now, granted, it wouldn't take... But with that extension, you could actually restructure a lot of the contract to where Matthew Stafford's contract for next season could be almost nothing, opening up about $12 million maybe. And maybe with that money, that's how you pay OBJ to stay. But no, I think Von Miller will play somewhere else next season, and I believe OBJ will also be playing somewhere next season. That's
also too. We got to bring up Eric Weddle too. Like the Rams were just fun. Like obviously they got a salary cap situation they're trying to figure out. Obviously right now they're just like, we won the Super Bowl, we won it in our home stadium, did it for LA, and it was great. But so many incredible stories on that team. Like there's so many people are just like, oh, I'll just always root against LA. Like, it's so funny. Like, hey, Lakers, if you want to sign some big time people and put together a good squad, maybe take notes from the LA Rams. Don't just get some washed up Russell Westbrook that's going to hawk up 455 shots a game, but somehow still get a triple double. This team is fun to root for compared to the other main LA team. OBJ, I feel like that's the kind of guy that's like, he was the rookie of the year and did some incredible stuff with the Giants and then went over to the Browns. We all thought that, the Browns were going to be a team that was going to compete. Baker Mayfield, is he going to be the guy? We found out pretty quick OBJ wasn't happening. He wasn't happy there. It wasn't happening. And then he joins the squad. And honestly, if he hadn't gotten hurt, he could have had a chance to win Super Bowl MVP. Like he was put, like he got that touchdown right away. Obviously just finished the game with a couple catches, but averaging 26 yards a catch off those with a tutty. It's exciting. And Eric Weddle, him retiring after the game was just kind of like, this was a fun 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Out of here. Thanks to the memories. That guy needs to get signed by some sort of beard oil company. Like him and Whitworth.
Oh, he'd clean up.
Get together. It'd be incredible.
Or sign up with Troy Polamalu. They could do some sort of Head and Shoulders thing together.
Dude, what do you think your favorite moment of the game was? Like, I know we should talk about commercials a little bit too, but like
Yeah.
yeah.
All things considered, it was the 75-yard T. Higgins. It was the very first play of the second half. Just what an exclamation point to come out. Because also, look, like I said, I went and rewatched that video. I definitely think it was an offensive pass interference.
Brian.
But he
Don't
didn't.
do it.
No. He
Don't
doesn't.
do
He
it.
doesn't grab. He doesn't grab the face mask. His fingers never close on it. So that's why, like I said, I think more. What a lot of people aren't really. You referenced it. He probably with his other hand pushed him in the back more. Everyone's talking about the face mask. The fingers. You can go rewatch the video. The fingers do not close around the face mask. It almost looks like he more kind of has it on the outside and does move it, but he didn't grip. But like you said, what a lot of people didn't notice was the other hand.
Watching this.
Rewatch it. I wish I had it prepped so I could tell the boys to pull it up.
It's
What-
one of those where it's not like a full-on grab, but it's like enough
Mhm.
to where you have just enough grip on it to where he's fully turning his helmet the other way. So it probably would have been one of those, maybe like in another situation, like you have a 15-yard face mask and a 5-yard face mask. This still like.
Oh, like I said,
turns his head.
Probably still a missed call. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's not as blatant as a lot of people are making it out to be. Because did you know the ref actually came out after the game and said no, he did not. Because part of the rule, that's why the face mask problem is you are allowed to touch people's face masks in those situations. You're not allowed to grab it. And so the ref, he went, hey, I didn't see a grab. No, see, there's hands to the face, but also it's the same reason why, like a running back can stiff arm you or the wide receiver can put they can put their hand in the face of the guy, and it's not necessarily a penalty. But like it so much comes down to if you actually close your fingers around that face mask, which it was kind of did it happen, did it not? No matter what, that moment of the game was electric.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. But yeah, that's also why I don't get into the whole Logan Wilson at the end of the game. Like that was so clearly not an offensive holding. Like it was insane. But at the same time, because I went, well, hey, like both teams had a call that went their way. Like, so that's why I don't get into the whole ref thing because it kind of evened out. Because if Logan Wilson isn't called on that, which was completely absurd as well, that was 4th and 8 on goal. You have one chance at that point to win the game. So that's why it's like, hey, throw both of those out, and it kind of, karma. The game was relatively even, so I don't really care.
And there was a lot of great calls.
Donde?
Breakaway Super Bowl special.
No, we had clutch.
We were on it. I told people you take Bengals +4.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was going to be within 3 points. No doubt. I said it was going to be 27-24, but you figured it was going to come down to it. And before we give people a few of our other good calls we made in the Super Bowl special, my favorite part of the game was halftime, but not the performance. Shooter McPherson watching the entire halftime show on the Bengals sideline. Evan McPherson, that guy's turning into an absolute legend himself.
Oh, yeah.
Joey Burt, he's doing his thing. But Evan McPherson, what a fun guy.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what the coaching staff had to think about him chilling out there, watching the halftime show. And I don't blame him. But that was incredible. But a few other things I know we called. I said, there's no way that the Gatorade's not going to be blue. Like if the Rams win, there's no way, like I said in the special, that yeah, guys, can we get the orange powder here for our blue team on the sideline?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no way.
Yeah.
You're going to have orange. It's a match made in Gatorade heaven.
Oh, yeah, orange versus blue. Yeah, it always felt like whatever team wins, that's the color.
Oh yeah. So that was great. And then, man, you called that non-QB TD pass.
I knew that one was going to happen. I truly, in my head, I believed it was going to happen from the Rams, though. I thought they were going to do more tricky stuff. Yep. I thought it, because look, they did try throwing a ball from Cooper Kupp to Matthew Stafford, which proved Matthew Stafford not an athletic guy. I mean, he's a great quarterback, but not a skill position player. That was hilarious to watch. Or OBJ.
Great. I know. Charlie ended up texting me at that point. He just said Stafford special.
The Stafford special.
It's like it did not work out well at all.
Yeah. Did you know that was Joe Mixon's first ever pass attempt in the NFL? First ever touchdown in the Super Bowl. That's why at the end of the first half, I was sitting there going like, wow, if the Bengals win this game, Joe Mixon is in the driver's seat because Burrow had 0 touchdowns in the first half. It was crazy. I'm sitting there going like, Joe, and also aside from that, Joe Mixon, I mean, wow, what a game he had. He was big time for them. Unfortunately, they went to Samaje Perine late, which they should not have done, because I think he was the most consistent player from the Bengals offense was Joe Mixon. So that's a bummer. But he had a phenomenal performance. He's locked in there.
I thought he was going to find the end zone too. Joe Mixon. I had him as anytime touchdown scorer. Didn't find it, but man, what an exciting Super Bowl. And we called a lot of this stuff, and I'm so interested to see what the Bengals are going to do this offseason.
Oh, man,
like they have some. I know you were talking about this. They have a lot of cap space. Mm-hmm. And obviously, they're going to be looking to fix that O-line, number one. That's all the analysis you guys are going to hear from any sports outlet. Boom. The Bengals were just a few offensive linemen away from winning a Super Bowl. But you could play that game all day long. Well, if this team had this or the other thing, it's like, no, you got what you got. You knew. The Bengals knew it. Their fans should have known it, and every single football fan should have known going into this game the O-line was going to be a liability. And is Joe Burrow going to be able to do enough, score enough to get this team to hoist the Lombardi Trophy? And it wasn't enough.
Absolutely. And the good thing for the Bengals is that their young core offensively is locked in. You've got Joe Burrow, you've got Joe Mixon, T. Higgins, and Jamar Chase. Those guys are going to be around for a while. Defensively, you do have a few key pieces. Logan Wilson, Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, they're also locked in. Now, where it gets a little dicier and these are the two areas where you're going to need to see the Cincinnati Bengals address in the draft and free agency. The offensive line, like we stated, and the defensive backs. Because their best defensive back is safety Jesse Bates. He's, team captain, had that first interception in the Super Bowl. He's a free agent. So of that $55 million-ish that they have in cap space, I definitely think he's going to get a chunk of it. But a few free agents, I mean, we're talking star-level guys that you're going to hear talked about for the Bengals. Definitely Brandon Scherf, just absolute rock star, superstar guard who's been playing with the Redskins football team, Commanders, whatever you want to call them. He was on the franchise tag, the Washington Commies. But he's a fantastic player. Was on the franchise tag. He's a free agent this year. He might get tagged again, but that'll be really expensive if the Commanders want to try and do that for a second year in a row. Don't think they will. So if they can't get a long-term extension worked out with him, he is like the top of the guy on the Bengals list. Secondly, then, Terron Armstead, who is the left tackle, has been the longtime left tackle for Drew Brees, but now the Saints are in salary cap hell. They're going to have to let guys walk. So Terron Armstead, that is the second guy.
In general. The Saints, yikes. I love to see it as a Falcons fan. I bet. To see them in absolute turmoil. They don't know it. They didn't know what they were doing last year. It's not like the Falcons know what they're doing that much either. But they have no idea what's going on. They're missing their coach. Their GM left last year. Fontenot came to join the Falcons, and then now they're in just disarray. I mean, it's crazy to see what's happening with the Saints. They could be in the dumps for a little while. It's going to be weird if the Saints aren't like, they're always competing. You know, it seems like, but you had Drew Brees, you had Sean Payton. They're in a tough spot.
Look, and there's also you can kind of look into the future on the Rams, on how they're going to be in a couple years, maybe not a couple, maybe 3 or 4 years from now, by looking at the Saints right now. Two different situations, but so the Rams, I Les Snead, the general manager of the Rams, give him all the credit in the world. Pushed his chips all into the table, and in fact, I think we're going to see a lot of general managers go the Les Snead route, where it's like, hey, if we think we have a Super Bowl window, let's trade draft picks for established players. But that creates problems because it's more expensive. It's a different way of team building. It's not how the NFL is set up. The Saints, on the other hand, what they were doing for years was they were, like I said, salary cap is all like Fugazi monopoly money. They were kicking the can down the road by restructuring, stretching out these contracts, all the crazy stuff we've seen with like Taysom Hill contracts where it's like, oh, he signed a $140 million contract. Well, no, he didn't. It's all just weird money. So, and now eventually it catches up to you and your team is screwed. That's down the road for the Rams. Like, everybody needs to understand that's going to happen. They do not have the cheap influx of young, good players by early round draft picks. So they're eventually going to get screwed. But hey, it was all worth it because you won a Super Bowl. But no,
because that's what it's all about.
Oh yeah,
they went all in, and also too, shout out to Robert Woods. I know he had
Bobby Trees.
Man, you could tell how much that receiving core missed him.
Mm-hmm.
But also he was an inspiration to a lot of those guys. So when he comes back, that's going to be huge for that offense as well. Like, he is a great piece. He is a great addition to those wideouts. And also, I have to do a major shout out, big time. He was on the podcast. My old teammate, Matt Orzek, long snapper for the Rams, is a Super Bowl champion. I was so dang excited for him. Like, that was cool to see a good friend, someone that has been an absolute journeyman through the NFL. I saw that video on our Instagram page. If people aren't following us already, it's at TPUSA Breakaway. He just got that Lombardi trophy, just raising that in the air, going nuts. Like, I am so excited for him. I know my special teams coach was there. He was doing
awesome
confetti angels on the field. It was great. But man, a lot of crazy stuff is going to be happening with the Rams, but so exciting for that is, you couldn't write a better story. I think.
I'm with you.
Just to have Matt Stafford, another fun guy to root for in LA. They win in LA. It's fantastic. And one thing I do have to say
Go
is,
ahead.
Obviously, there is a lot of conversation right now of what's going to be happening in the LA area and California after this game. If you are a parent of a kid, there is no way in hell your kid should be masked up at school today. Don't do it. After you see all those celebrities, LA Mayor Garcetti looks like he was holding his breath for about 4 quarters. Incredible. I don't know how he does it. He's got to let us know. Your kid should not be masked up. I don't like bringing I don't think this should even be political at all. Just your kids, this is not about science or data at all. If you're able to have about almost 80,000 people pack into the Super Bowl, pack into the SoFi Stadium, and nobody's adhering to rules, which I don't think they should at all, there's no way kids should be masked up in schools at all.
Yeah, no, LA definitely showed their just complete and utter hypocrisy. It's disgusting. Every single celebrity that was shown on the screen last night, no mask whatsoever. LeBron James, Charlize Theron, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, a lot of really woke people. I think Ellen was even there.
She posted a big selfie.
Yeah. Oh, of course, Ellen a selfie. Ooh, biggest surprise.
Somebody tweeted, they're like, I didn't know Pete Carroll was going to be at the game.
I saw another person who they tweeted out, Ellen DeGeneres looks like Cooper Kupp's mom and dad. And That had me rolling, dude. That was so good. No, but I mean, speaking of good stuff, there was some decent commercials. I know you were a little busy, so you didn't get to watch all the commercials because you had some Super Bowl party stuff going on. But it was actually
that's
it was a
what I was
decent
kind of
year.
like bummed out. I was like, I didn't get to watch like any of these commercials at all.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I had a great time. It was really fun. They actually Novice is the clothing company that works with Harrison Butker. They actually had me like announcing Super Bowl squares at the end of each quarter.
That's
like
great.
It wasn't even planned at all. They were just like, "Oh yeah, you talk all the time. You're an entertainer. Can you do this?" So like I was doing that like during commercial breaks and quarter breaks and things like that. But dude, tell me which ones were good, because I only saw like a little like the Chevy Doctor EV ill.
Oh, that was terrible.
I know there was like the Amazon Alexa one that was, Colin Jost and
Scarlett Johansson. Just kind of, like, I still can't believe those two are married. I know the Amazon Alexa one, that one was really good. It was really funny, but at the same time, the creepy part about it was Amazon just like spitting in your face going, yeah, it was them basically being very tongue-in-cheek about the fact of, we know so much about you, it's almost like we can read your mind. And they completely played into it. And it was funny because it was true, but at the same time, it was like, wait, yeah, they basically do know me better than I know myself. They can essentially read my mind. And they made a big joke of it. And I was like, wow, they really don't care at this point.
Why do I always feel like somebody's listening to me? That's what I feel like. That's the world we live in right now. I'm sure Jack Posobiec's like, the Great Reset. Like, I would love to see
Amazon.
Like, we need to get a live stream on Jack Posobiec during that Amazon Alexa commercial. It's like, I told you, they're taking over. They're listening to everything.
Oh, Jack live tweeting it. No, but there was a few other good ones. Avocados from Mexico, they normally have a really, really good Super Bowl ad. Theirs was only meh, but it did include, they made fun of the Bills Mafia jumping on tables, and that was great. So I was like, okay, if you get Bills Mafia table jumping in there, immediate W. I mean, absolute win. Lay's Paul Rudd and Seth Rogen one was just funny, like in general. You put Paul Rudd in anything and I'll watch it. I Love You Man is one of the greatest, bromance comedies of all time. So win. Bud Light's Guy Fieri, Flavortown one, our first real look into the world of Flavortown, which just needs to be its own, Netflix show at this point. Give me a full show, fictional show on Flavortown. I'll watch it. There was some decent ones this year. But like you said, probably the worst one was the Chevy Dr. Evil one. Dude, it was just about climate change and we're going to save the planet by making electric vehicles, which is just, if you know anything about the electric vehicle batteries, it's just insanely stupid. You can't recycle them. In fact, all car commercials were electric vehicle ones.
Were they the same that they had like this, so like old country music star that had like a really woke commercial? Was that with Chevy or was that with like Jeep or something?
I must have missed that one. I don't know.
That was like,
I know Dolly Parton
years
one
ago
was
or
in.
something.
Yeah, and there's the Sopranos Chevy commercial.
Man, I don't know which one. I don't know which one I'm thinking of. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night, Brian. Celebrating the win.
Yeah, well, as we kind of
one thing though is the Clydesdale. I mean,
it was
isn't that
weak.
always one of the go-tos? So Budweiser, they didn't have a commercial last year.
That's right.
At all.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, they come back for this. And my mom, she goes nuts for the Clydesdale horses. Like, she's always,
a lot of people do.
Guys, she's like, I don't know who's playing. I don't know what's going on. I just want to see the Clydesdales. So like last year when they didn't have it, like my mom's one of those people that she's happy to watch the game with everybody, but there's like bits and pieces that she gets fired up for. And she's one of those people that loves like the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade too. So when that didn't happen a couple of years ago, she was distraught. And then last year when they didn't have the Clydesdales, so they came back this year, and it just seemed like, from what you were saying, I know we were talking before the show, it didn't really live up to the hype. I watched a little bit of it before we jumped on here.
Yeah, no, it was kind of weak as far as like the Clydesdale ones are normally like, one of those staples of the Super Bowl, and it just didn't live up to previous years. So I'm hoping they can no pun intended, but get back on the horse.
Ooh.
Gotcha.
Yeehaw.
But no, obviously, we've had a lot of fun talking about the Super Bowl, but we do want to remember that Super Bowl isn't the only thing that was happening in this past week. We want to touch on a couple things before we let you all go. First off, it's, sticking in the NFL, probably just going to touch on it here, but the Kyler Murray drama has continued to reach just absurd levels where now they're coming out and saying that apparently there's an odd vibe between Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals in general. Somebody, Chris Mortensen, who, a reporter, said Murray is described as self-centered, immature, and finger-pointing per sources. Murray is frustrated with franchise and was embarrassed by playoff loss to the Rams and thinks he's been framed as the scapegoat. I don't think this is as big of a deal as the media is putting it out to be. Murray is under contract. He's going to want that massive extension. The Cardinals are definitely going to give it to him. I don't understand all the hoopla that's being built up around this. It seems like, and it's just weird to me because it's not like this is like the dog days of summer where that kind of stuff happens then. This was Super Bowl week. I am blown away by how much talk happened on Super Bowl week about Kyler Murray. That's just weird. I don't know.
It seems like just a dramatic high school relationship.
Yes.
Where it's like, well, he deleted the photos of us and got rid of me, so I think I'm gonna do the same with him. But like, it's silly, but I love it. I feel like in general in my life, I'm not just like a drama guy. I don't want drama in my relationships or my life, but man, I'm living for this right now. And it must be so weird for you and the rest of the Cardinals fans watching this unravel because they can't get rid of Kyler Murray. I know a lot of people are just like, no, it's probably time to like get rid of him. You could get like some draft picks and maybe a few people back. And it's like, dude, well, who are you gonna draft? Who are you gonna pick up? Who's gonna be your quarterback? Like this quarterback class is not very good.
Terrible.
And then, yeah, what other quarterbacks do you have available right now? Like, what, you're going to try to get like an Aaron Rodgers or something like that?
And you have Rodgers for what, maybe 2 years at most?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense.
Also, it's like, what's going to attract Aaron Rodgers to go to Arizona more than like San Francisco, more than Denver? No, it's like, no, that's probably not even in its top 5.
Yeah, there are other teams that are built better to bring in a new quarterback. But the Super Bowl is in Arizona next year, so if we're going to keep on this trend of the hometown team winning. But obviously, there is more outside of just football. So this was NBA trade deadline week, and boy, it was a doozy. I mean, this was the most exciting trade deadline that we've seen in recent years for the NBA. Of course, starting out with the biggest one, the blockbuster, James Harden was traded to the 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and a couple other small pieces, not small, first-round picks. But I don't know, John, this
Sixers
shakes up.
got fleeced.
You think they got fleeced?
I think they got fleeced. Seth Curry, a lot of people aren't talking about that. That was such a great addition to that team. You talk about someone that can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about someone that is maybe your 6th, 7th guy on the bench at times, and you get Ben Simmons, who is going to be put in a position to succeed.
Yep.
That's what you need with someone like Ben Simmons. He became too much of a superstar there. He does not need to be ball dominant. He does not need to score you all these points and put the team on his back. That's not Ben Simmons. But I think there's a lot of people that have not watched Ben Simmons for a while, and they're forgetting how good that guy really is.
Oh yeah.
Like, is he in the upper echelon, like top 5? No, but he's always one of those guys that's in the conversation of being an all-star, being on those all NBA teams and everything. So he's going to be good. And then you have KD that is with Kyrie.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's just like Ben Simmons. Just contribute to what those guys are doing. You got Seth Curry on the team now. 2 first-round picks as well in this deal. Like, Daryl Morey, bro, you were spot on when you talked about free Hong Kong. You are not spot on when it came to this trade. And I don't understand why everybody holds James Harden to this unbelievable level. I just don't think Harden's going to be the guy in Philly. Joel Embiid, that would be a nice little addition to him and everything.
The Embiid Harden pick and roll is going to be gnarly.
It's going to be nice. But also, too, like, James Harden's the kind of guy, it's like he shows up to training camp out of shape. He literally looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy after the offseason. Guy still gets the job done, but he doesn't like the way the NBA is going. But he can't draw fouls as much anymore.
No.
And he got cooked by Kyrie Irving in practice. Did you see some of those reports? They came out? Like, he was just getting hosted by Kyrie Irving. That was barely in basketball shape. And I think that relationship just kind of like went downhill. I also can't imagine that. Like, we love Kyrie Irving's stance here at Breakaway, Turning Point USA, and anybody that just loves freedom. But in general, like, it doesn't seem like Kyrie Irving is a super easy guy to get along with.
No, it seems kind of like a nutcase.
Eccentric personality that just balls. And there's obviously, you're going to hear the talking heads like Stephen A. Smith. They're just like, well, is Kyrie still going to be selfish? If he continues to be selfish, I don't know if this team's going to win a championship. And it's like, I just hope that New York changes their tune. Like, allow players to be unvaccinated and play at home. Like, there's no reason why you should have like a mandate. It's like what DC, I'm pretty sure had a mandate. Like, they were forcing some of their players, like Bradley Beal. I know he came out and said something like early in the season, then he ended up getting it. It seemed like he was forced into it. Kyrie Irving can play at DC, but he can't play at home. I'm hoping that New York just kind of changes their tone, because I don't want to watch a NBA playoffs and say, all right, well, they could have done more if Kyrie was able to play at home. But also, too, they're probably going to, if it stays like this, they're going to try to get a lower seed or a higher seed, so they can potentially play on the road more. That's going to be interesting.
I mean, today, John, who do you have as your best team in the East?
Well, I think it's a toss-up between the Nets and the Bucks. I mean, obviously, you got teams like, the Heat are up there, the Bulls. You can't count those guys out at all. But I just think, as of right now, I got to give the edge to the Bucks, just because of experience. Giannis is still the man. They got some great pieces over there. That, like, look at how close that Eastern Conference is. I think like the top 5 teams are all within like 2 or 3 games.
It's real close.
Yeah, it's not like any team is really taken off, but I think I got to give the edge to the Bucks a little bit. But watch out in a few weeks. The Nets, they're going to start coming together a little bit. They look really, really nice. And also to Steve Nash, did he lie to us? I feel like he lied to us. He said James Harden isn't going to get traded.
Yeah,
but also, he's not the decision maker. But I thought that was kind of funny.
That was all smoke and mirrors, trying to just make sure that they kept out of the headlines enough of not wanting to give their hand away too much. But there was also a couple other trades that happened. Not that we need to dive in too deep to them, because they're not as impactful as the Simmons Harden. But Sabonis was sent to Sacramento in kind of a surprising move for Tyrese Halliburton and Buddy Hield. It's only surprising because you would have thought Halliburton would have been like borderline untouchable, but Sacramento does have 3 good guards.
Show.
Yeah,
Sacramento's
they've won both the games since Sabonis showed up. I think he'll fit in nicely there, but send the team to Seattle already. It's just time. They'll bring back the Supersonics, and I think immediately their fortunes would turn around. Probably get a new owner too, but yeah, that's what you got to do. You know them better than I, and producer Dominic knows them even better.
Sacramento's a dumpster fire. I mean, when you had someone like Vlade Divac, he was just making some of the stupidest moves ever. Like, just stick to flopping and taking charges. Don't try to run a franchise and make moves. And it's insane. Like, they got rid of Marvin Bagley, the guy they chose over Luka Doncic.
Well, you had to at this point. He was done there. Do you remember a few weeks ago when he refused to come back into the game? Yeah, done. Like, was done there. Like, had to move on.
Look, ever since like those Rick Adelman teams were so fun. Like, people need to go back and watch some of those. Like, the Lakers-Kings rivalry, early 2000s, that was some of the best in the NBA. Like, that was obviously the Lakers always got the best of them. But like, man, that was a good time. Then Rick Adelman, he was a great coach. I know the team loved him. Sacramento was buzzing. Arco Arena was popping off. A place that I actually got to play the section championship game when I was in high school. But ever since, man, it's like, Buddy Hield, you knew he wasn't going to be your guy. He had like a nice little run. And then DeMarcus Cousins was on the squad. He was good. DeMarcus Cousins too. I got to see him play a few times there in Sacramento. That guy probably put up the quietest
monster
50
back
piece
then
I've ever seen in my life. But just, they haven't known what they were doing the whole time. They brought in Luke Walton to coach the team. I think Luke Walton, he was good in the interim for Steve Kerr, but in general, it's like Luke Walton, my least favorite NBA player of all time. Like, I wanted to absolutely
snooze fast,
gouge my eyes out every time I watched him play in the NBA. But it's a long road for Sacramento, and especially too when this Halliburton situation happens, you think someone's going to want to stick around in Sacramento and think that Sacramento's got some sort of loyalty to you, that they care about you, that they want to build around you.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a break. It's not enticing. And I feel bad for producer Dom and all Sacramento Kings fans. A lot of people I grew up with, for people that don't know, it's like I grew up in Sacramento the majority of my life. I was born in the Bay, so that's why I'm a Warriors fan. But man, that's an absolute crap show. Great arena though. Golden One Arena is definitely in my top 5 in the NBA. It's a great spot to watch a game.
John,
the team sucks.
We're headed into the break here, and so we're going to be able to get a chance to, probably in one of the future weeks here, do a good breakdown now that the NFL is going to be wrapping up, and as we kind of move more into a bigger focus on college basketball and the NBA. We're really going to have a lot of time to talk about basketball, but I mean, right now, give me your hot take. Give me your finals prediction. Who do you think it's going to be from the West? Who do you think it's going to be from the East?
Well, from the West, I'm going Warriors. It's going to be, it's either going to be the Warriors or the Suns.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't feel like anybody else has a chance.
And then also, too, I feel like the Suns, I hope they don't get too caught up in that 1 seed situation. Like, obviously, like, you're always buzzing. And D-Book just looks like an absolute beast out there. And they have so many fun pieces. Like someone like Cam Johnson, someone that came from UNC that, was developing quite a bit. And then he was put on the right team. It's definitely you got Bridges on that squad as well. DeAndre Ayton is becoming a little bit tougher. So Western Conference Final is going to be Suns and Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I think Warriors right now they're coasting a little bit. I think they just want to stay healthy, and then once they get James Wiseman back, here we go. Jonathan Kuminga.
They know it's about playoffs.
Oh man, they know it's all about playoffs, and I think especially after that 73-win season, they're saying, you know what, just let's win some games, but let's not try to do anything crazy. Let's keep everybody as healthy as humanly possible. So I still got the Warriors coming out of the West. It wouldn't be a bad bet to say the Suns, and then the East. I think it's going to come down to the Bucks and the Nets. They're going to be seeing each other again in the playoffs. I think the Nets are just a better team now. I think when you got Steve Nash at the helm again, I think he's going to feel more comfortable. We'll see what happens with the Kyrie Irving situation. So right now I got Nets, Warriors, NBA Finals. And at that point, I really hope that New York has changed the rules so we can see Kyrie Irving throughout the rest of that finals. But man, that's exciting. Kyrie Irving, somebody that beat the Warriors in the finals, definitely ripped my heart out. KD is playing the team that he left. This is his next chapter. What is he going to do with the old team?
His next
Hopefully the
chapter.
Warriors oh yeah, like this would be a very, very fun time. But still Suns Nets would be exciting, or Suns Bucks. We'll see. But I'm going Nets Warriors.
Yeah, you say you hope New York's changed their rules right now, but you being a Warriors fan, if it ended up Warriors Nets, I know you'd be like, oh well, Kyrie not playing at home's not that big of a deal anymore. But
I just hate that when everybody's just like, oh, you know, if this guy hadn't have been hurt or this would have happened. I hate the what if game.
Yeah,
so
it's terrible.
There's way too many people that, you know, that's all that would be talked about online.
Mm-hmm.
If Kyrie wasn't able to play throughout that whole series, like, well, you know, what if he was able to play? You know, like, would the Warriors actually beat them? It's like, I don't want any of that. I want to play them straight up, and I want the best team to play at full strength, and let's roll.
Heard that, dude. Well, I'll be brief on mine. You know, obviously I'm going to roll with the Suns. I think they're the best team in basketball, and at the deadline they made a couple small moves to get Torrey Craig back, bring in Aaron Holiday from the Wizards. Small moves that just, you know, help keep them moving in the right direction. And I'm higher on the Sixers starting five than I think you are. Tyrese Maxey, James Harden, Matisse Thybulle, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. I think that is a baller starting five. Losing Seth Curry hurts for sure. Completely with you on that one. But that's my prediction right now. I think it's looking like Suns and Sixers, which would be a lot of fun to watch. They're built completely differently. Ayton versus Embiid would be a lot of fun. Booker versus James Harden, who's the best shooting guard in the league. Makes for a lot of good storylines too. Definitely could see either of those teams making it out. But
yeah, and then the thing that's going to be fun too is like you're saying, we're going to talk about a lot of NBA on this show. And there's, especially I think being associated with Turning Point USA and stuff, like the NBA is the wokest league. So there's definitely going to be plenty of conversations there. But in general, there's too much good basketball not to talk about how these teams are built, how they're going after the playoffs. And it's going to be a fun time. Like, this is a fun time in the NBA. And I think we're going to be able to separate ourselves from the politics a little bit. And then also too, college basketball is going to be a blast.
March Madness right around the corner.
My early pick to win the national championship was Purdue. I think Purdue looks nice. But in general, it's like you got teams like Kentucky, you got UCLA that's out there, UCLA and USC. They had a nice little matchup the other night.
Mm-hmm.
It's an exciting time. Obviously, Gonzaga is always going to do their thing, even though they're not letting John Stockton go to games anymore.
Auburn and Duke are both pretty good.
but it's an exciting time. And one more thing I definitely do want to touch on with the Super Bowl is obviously you probably have some people tuning in right now, whether you're watching or listening. You want to hear what we have to say about Eminem. The halftime show. The halftime show was legit. Like, there's a reason Evan McPherson was out there. There's like, I know Alex Clark had a great take for that. She was like, this was for us 90s babies. I was digging it. Like that. You just heard the next episode, California Love, Snoop D-O-double-G. Obviously, Snoop's got a lot of, like, these guys have some crap they've gotten into it with the law and everything like that. They get some rap sheets, but they're also great rappers. It's like this. I think we can appreciate the art a little bit. And man, that whole set was cool. It felt like
cool.
Man, it was like a adult, like, what was it? Just like Playhouse almost situation where they had, like, doesn't matter like what side you're on of the field, you could see them walking down. You got, dude, what, 50 Cent doing his best Spider-Man impression right away.
Coming in upside down.
He's upside down.
Shout out to the music video.
Oh man, like that was exciting. But the thing was, Eminem, he took a knee. Like, we were able to watch a pretty non-woke NFL playoffs.
Yeah.
For the most part. For the most part. I think that's what people really enjoyed. And that's why that's someone like Charlie, that he is one of those guys, like, if there's some wokeness in companies or sports or something like that, he's like, will not support it, not doing it. Like, there's a reason Charlie started getting into the NFL a little bit more as well. But man, Eminem just ruined it. Absolutely ruined it. The NFL came out and said that they had no idea that he was going to do it. I think they were trying to tell him, like, don't.
Yeah, I guess they were saying don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it. And then maybe that just, like, empowered him more. But, like,
yeah, because they should have just said nothing. Like, if he wants to do it and make a fool out of himself, let him make a fool out of himself. Because now there's the whole storyline of they told him not to do it. But no, it's a joke. It's a classic woke white person Snoop wasn't taking a knee. Dr. Dre wasn't taking a knee. Kendrick Lamar didn't take a knee. I mean, come on. Why do you need to be the person to take a knee if the black people themselves are like, we just want to have a dope halftime show? That's all we care about. So, I mean, Eminem, absolute clown. Plus, I mean, I don't know if the sound was off or something, but it clearly looked like he was lip syncing for that one too. So, double clown.
Will the real Slim Shady please stand up and not take a knee? Please.
That's so good.
Please.
Love that.
See, these are things that would have been great tweets yesterday, but
you were having too good of a time.
But I was having too good of a time, and it's one of those where, like, dude, stop listening to the stupid narrative about Colin Kaepernick. There's people like that Eminem, they want you to think that Colin Kaepernick got blackballed from the NFL. It's like, no. Once again, he had a good little run. He had a chance to come back in the NFL. He had some workouts and tryouts that he ended up changing the location, and he shot himself in the foot in a lot of ways. And the NFL, and it seemed like other teams, wanted to give him another shot despite all the circumstances, but it was completely on him. The guy makes millions of dollars, race baiting, dividing us. And someone like Eminem, it goes to show that the NFL does not know how to control their celebrities they're associated with, and they don't know how to control their players. They have bowed down and taken a knee, pun intended, to a lot of these social issues, and it shot him in the foot. Luckily, the NFL, I think, came out and said, we didn't want him to do it. He did it. Puts all this on Eminem, but it also goes to show the NFL doesn't have that much power to force people to eliminate themselves from a political discussion. And it took away from the halftime show a little bit, but that was one of the best ever.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show.
That was legit. That was a lot of fun. But I know we probably got to start rolling too. You probably got the producers in the back telling you.
They're yelling in my ear. Nah, I'm kidding. No, but this has been a great show. I mean, speaking of, absolutely so fun. Glad that you could tune in all the way from New York. Because we obviously want to be here every Monday morning for the people. Once again, just huge thank you to everybody who tunes in. Breakaway is really starting to gain a lot of traction. We've had a lot of stuff that's popped off in the last few weeks, and obviously couldn't do it without all of you who are watching, liking, subscribing, downloading. Invite your friends to listen to the stuff. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And leave a review on the podcast on both Apple Podcast and Spotify. Means the world to us because we want to keep going on and talking about all this stuff. We couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of your guys' sports lives. But also, like I said earlier, Breakaway isn't ending with the NFL. We are going to continue into basketball. This is an every Monday thing. Of course, John also has his Sunday specials that, awesome interviews that come out every single Sunday. Breakaway is here to stay, and we are absolutely going to be changing the game with you guys. John, thank you for coming in. Producers, thank you for putting on a great show. Everybody, will catch you soon.
How much does the earth cost? I'm going to buy the entire earth.
Hey there, it's Isabel Brown. Coming up next on TPUSA Live, tune in to the newest episode of Politics, where the host Alex Clark chats about President Trump getting spied on, that Hillary Clinton dated Pete Davidson, and another Hot Take Tuesday next on Politics.
Slay! Slay! If
that ain't cute conservatives, I don't know what is. Short and sweet show today because everything is mostly Super Bowl and we're over that by now. However, I am gonna talk about Kanye West's accusations that Pete Davidson dated Hillary Clinton. And speaking of Hillary, Trump was right about everything he said about her. When he said she had been spying on him and making up all the Russia stuff to help her campaign, he was right and we've got the proof. Then in Hot Take Tuesday, we'll discuss why this actress says it's dehumanizing to call a black woman strong, and the trailer is out for Hulu's new show, The Dropout, all about Elizabeth Holmes. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Politics. Kanye accused Pete Davidson of being Hillary Clinton's ex-boyfriend on Instagram over the weekend. His proof? Pete has a tattoo of Hillary's face on his leg.
Oh, this? That's my credo. No regrets.
I love a good public call out as much as the next person, but I do think it's irresponsible for him to have posted this, especially when we all know Hillary Clinton and Rachel Maddow have been meeting up at Daytona Bike Week to crunch munch for years. Sorry, Ye, but I don't think Pete is Hillary's preferred cuisine. He's too linguini.
That joke was much better in my head.
Speaking of Hillary, President Trump was right. Hillary did spy on him. At least, that's what it's looking like. 2016 seems like just yesterday, back when the left spread Russia collusion allegations quicker than the Wuhan ever could. And HRC was one of the biggest mouths spewing the lies.
Lies, lies, and more lies, and lies on top of lies.
She tweeted back in 2016 claiming that computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. Yeah, and Billy Boy apparently loved you at some point.
These allegations are false.
It's not news that the left lies and would do anything to ruin President Trump. But the reason this is so significant is because the media and the left gaslit the entire country over alleged Russian collusion for years. But thanks to John Durham's latest report, there seems to be evidence that Hillary and her campaign directly funded and ordered its lawyers at Perkins Coie to orchestrate a criminal enterprise to fabricate a connection between President Trump and Russia. You butt-gusted!
Technically, but I messed it up.
President Trump even released a statement saying that all the spying on his campaign and presidency completely tops the Watergate scandal.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place. Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't verify that.
It's been totally verified.
No.
It's been, just go down and get the papers. They spied on my campaign, they got caught.
No.
And then they went much further than that, and they got caught. And you will see that, Leslie, and you know that, but you just don't want to put it on the air.
As a matter of fact, I don't know that.
Okay.
If you're holding your breath hoping that the media is going to cover this, don't. Because they are just as complicit covering the whole thing up for Hillary.
We came, we saw, he died.
Here's a couple more headlines that you need to know this week.
Hot Take Tuesday.
Don't compliment any black woman you know by calling her strong. According to actress Taraji P. Henson, calling a black woman strong is dehumanizing. She said, "Don't call me strong. It dehumanizes me. It makes me feel like my feelings don't matter, that I don't need to pause to take time for my mental because I'm a strong black woman." What? She also went on to say, so we need to dismantle that notion because, like I said, it makes us superhuman in a way. You can't be dehumanized and superhumanized at the same time, Taraji. The two would just cancel each other out. Besides, wasn't hashtag Black Girl Magic just a thing? How is kryptonite a problem, but chakras or whatever makes you magical is totally fine? Is this because Superman was white? Actress Amanda Seyfried is playing Theranos founder and Silicon Valley scam artist Elizabeth Holmes in a new 10-episode series on Hulu called The Dropout. It premieres on March 3rd. Leave it to the one notable woman in Silicon Valley to be a total fraud.
What if you could test your blood in your own home? And what if it wasn't a whole vial, but just a drop? I'm going to drop out to Stanford. This machine is going to change the world.
These kids don't overthink. They don't get bogged down about the way things have always been done. They want to change things now.
Together, we're making healthcare accessible to everyone in this country.
I don't understand how you're doing this extremely complex chemical engineering with a high school degree.
This technology is 10 years away.
Your idea is impossible, so you just keep trying.
Do or do not. There is no try. That's Yoda.
Okay.
If you want this, you have to dedicate yourself. What are you willing to do to get it?
I can't give them one reason to doubt me.
It's not even close to working yet.
What are we gonna show at the demo?
We're gonna tell them that we don't have a working prototype.
Right?
I hope you had a great Valentine's Day, maybe even a guilt-free Valentine's Day if you spent it with your spouse and got to really enjoy each other after listening to my podcast with Pastor JP from last Friday. Spicy, spicy. Support the OG show, this one, Politics, by hitting the heart button before you exit out. Do you think Hillary will ever be held responsible for her crimes? And does The Dropout on Hulu look good to you? DM this episode to your friend who would totally show up to World War III just like those girls in the beginning. And if you want this show to stick around, hit the save button, please. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. It's pop culture without the propaganda every single day. I'm Alex Clark, and this is Politics. Support Politics, the first ever conservative pop culture daily show, by subscribing to our channel, turning on notifications, and of course, hitting the thumbs up. Also, our main home is on Instagram. Seriously, just trust me, that's when the real magic happens. Follow us there at Politics.